everybody. Welcome to a new idea that we're doing. It's called RoguesCast. It's a little podcast that we're going to be doing to just kind of talk about stuff we want to talk about.
Well, people should probably introduce themselves. They'll just stay here quietly and stare at each other.
I'm just going to lurk over here in the corner as we get this started.
So My precious!
So, I'm Nosidda.
And I'm Bumblure.
And I'm TC.
And we usually do Let's Plays here on Rogues and Roleplayers, but we decided to try and spin things on their head and try something different. You know, just a little bit.
Yep, and we usually have a fourth companion, a purple cat named Wadeling, but unfortunately he could not make this one, so we hope to have him in future installments.
Yeah, we'll have him in here on another time whenever he can make it in here.
Yep.
Whenever he's not doing purple cat things.
Yep.
So we wanted to talk about E3.
We know you guys probably binged all of the conferences, and we didn't. Because life shit. I
binged all the conferences.
Yeah, you don't have as much life shit as we do, but
I have life things.
But Bumblure binged them in the last hour and a half.
I'm the crammer / procrastinator that everybody at home knows.
Yep.
You guys had no hesitation watching the Bethesda one, though.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. You guys were hyped for that
I watched 3 of the major ones, and then I got lazy. So
I watched all of them. I don't have any notes on everything, but we were
How dare!
But we were just going to kind of talk about the stuff that we were interested in talking about. We're not going to be able to cover absolutely everything.
Yeah, but we wanted to kind of go over the highlights, things that stuck out to us, and then also whenever, because we're going to post this on YouTube, and I don't know if we're planning on posting this anywhere else.
We'll probably post this a few other places.
We would definitely
as well.
like to get your opinions on E3 and other things as well.
Yeah, and if there's something that you guys are interested in that we didn't cover, let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear about it.
Yep, we definitely want to discuss it. Yeah.
So I kind of figured we would go by conference.
Yep.
So do you want to do them in order or
not particularly in order, just the ones that kind of come to mind. So I mean, the first one that was on my mind is EA. It was shit. Moving on. Actually, no. There were a couple of things from EA's conference that actually did stand out to me. It wasn't a good conference. I'm gonna go ahead and straight up say it. But there were 2 things that stuck out to me, which were the indie representation.
Oh yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes, and I have that down to mention that.
So I believe they called it the EA Originals.
Yes,
EA Originals, and the 2 games they showed off were Unravel 2, which actually came out as soon as they first showed it off at the conference.
Mm-hmm.
So it's available now, and they also showed off this game called Sea of Solitude.
Yes, which I'm interested in looking at. I don't know much about it, but I'm really. Because A Way Out, which is what we're actually currently playing on the channel.
It was kind of the pioneer of that program.
Exactly. And I've noticed actually that the EA original stuff has been doing a lot better than EA stuff.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's kind of where EA is comfortable, is that they're more of a publisher, not a developer.
I think that's the direction they need to go, because they're coming out with a lot better stuff through their originals program than probably what they're doing on their own.
It's interesting because, with the amount of shit that the gaming community gives EA for like their loot box stuff and everything, it's amazing how like indie developers have come forward and say, with all the shit that the gamers give EA, they actually treat their indies really, really well. Mm-hmm. Like indies are very happy with EA. I mean, apparently EA does treat them pretty well.
That's the thing I've noticed is that, like, because you mentioned the whole loot box thing that they recently were on the radar for, but it feels like they called attention to it. We messed up, but it sounds like they're at least trying to take steps to correct that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And something that stood out to me was that the streaming versus subscription with the Origin Access Premier, they're going to give access to like all of their new PC games, like if you subscribe to that platform, which is big. And I think only one other developer, Xbox, the Microsoft one had something kind of similar.
Well, they're all of them are doing it. Like that's the direction that gaming is going. Mm-hmm. It's not just EA and Microsoft that are doing it. Sony has an equivalent called PlayStation Now, which it's not really like I'm gonna like as a fan of PlayStation, it's really not as good as the ones that Xbox and even EA are offering. Because the problem I have with PlayStation Now is that it's stream only. There's no download options.
Yeah.
And plus the other problem I have with it is that it's mainly focused on like older PS3 games. There's not really a whole lot in the PS4 department.
Yeah.
There really isn't.
So
whereas,
the video game industry is taking notes from Netflix,
Pretty
essentially.
much.
That's
But
interesting.
they're offering it on. It sounds like quite a few developers are going to where they'll do that on brand new titles.
That's crazy.
Well, Microsoft's already doing that with Xbox Game Pass. They actually already, like, as of January, they made a promise. They said, as of January this year, every first-party game that Microsoft comes out is going to be available day one on Xbox Game Pass.
Wow.
And it's $10 a month.
That's
That is
cheap.
that almost makes me want to go out and buy an Xbox just so I can subscribe to that service. That is an insanely good deal. Like, that is a really good deal, and I really wish PlayStation had something like this.
Yeah.
So, I think, EA, Microsoft, and Sony are all doing it, but I think between the three, I think Microsoft has the best one. EA's coming close, but I still think that they have some catching up to do in terms of what they can offer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, I wanted to cover the grounds on the EA indie titles. Like, what did you guys think of Sea of Solitude and Unravel 2?
Well, Sea of Solitude, again, I didn't see that much on that. Unravel 2, I mean, the first Unravel was amazing. And
I never got to play it, but it definitely felt like something that was inspired by like the Little Big Planet series.
yeah.
Yes, it does. It's like kind of like a cross between like Little Big Planet in a way and Limbo. Like that kind of like puzzle platformer.
Yeah.
Because
have you are either of you guys familiar with the first one?
no,
I have never played the first one.
So the first one is primarily like a single player experience, and the basis of it, from what I can remember, was that basically this small character, he is basically the link to this, I think it's an old woman's memories. And his journey is to basically rediscover all of these memories.
Oh, okay.
So it's a very, family friendly kind of game.
Yeah.
What I've noticed in this terms, and I've noticed this with EA Original specifically, is you're seeing local co-op make a resurgence.
Yeah, I definitely noticed that.
And I've noticed that with a
few.
lot of developers. They are pushing local co-op again.
Especially in the indie community.
Yeah.
And that to me is an amazing thing, because as much as everybody enjoys online gaming, nothing beats sitting on the couch with your buddy playing a game together.
Yep. Yep.
Nothing beats it. And it's starting to make a comeback, which makes me happy.
Yeah, and you're starting to see big games actually take that mechanic on, or like A Way Out, make that the primary mechanic.
Yeah.
Which I think is really, really interesting, because it's actually bringing back the significance of that experience with a friend, as opposed to online gameplay, which had been dominating for several years.
Yeah.
So I find that really interesting. That's what I really actually liked about Unravel 2, and actually that would be something I think would be interesting to see on the channel, strictly because of the co-op experience.
Maybe we can do that sometime.
Yeah.
So it doesn't look like it would be an overly long game. So it would be something that you could probably pick up on like a couple of evenings and be able to play through.
I know the first one wasn't that long. I think it was about 6 or 7 hours, something like that. So, but it was a really great experience. Like me and my mom, we watched Jacksepticeye play it, and it was such a solemn and beautiful experience.
Yeah.
To watch it and just experience it. So if they're going with the same kind of idea, which it looked like they were, then to have that experience with a friend, I think is going to be a very unique experience.
Yeah.
I've said experience a lot, but you get what I'm saying.
Experience. What all gamers crave.
Delicious experience.
Can we make like a baked goods line and just call it experience? And just all of them are shaped like little gamer things.
Yeah. Just have like XP on the
awesome.
top. That'd be amazing.
That's awesome.
But about Sea of Solitude, though, I don't know anything
real
about
quick, I was talking with one friend on Unravel 2, and I think the way they described the red character from Unravel, and it was just like, it looks like a spaghetti Pikmin.
It's actually a really good
He does,
comparison.
actually.
And I was just like, that's been stuck in my head, and every time I see Unravel, I'm just like, yep, spaghetti Pikmin.
Yeah.
I can't unsee it.
I mean, in a way, it actually is kind of that way, because they're like tiny little yarn people.
Yeah.
You know, like, a little bird is like a giant to them.
Yeah, and you guys would really like the mechanics on it, too, because the gameplay mechanics are very 3D platformer.
Yeah.
Simple 3D platformer. It's an awesome set of mechanics that they have on it, but it's still very immersive.
It definitely looks like a game I would like. I definitely have to check it out sometime. And we might play it on the channel at some point. We'll see how it goes.
So moving on to Sea of Solitude then.
Yeah.
So the first thing that stuck out to me was definitely the art style.
Oh, yeah.
It felt like there was a very harsh, like, daytime and nightmare land kind of like transition between the color schemes. But the character design, I don't know why. I keep comparing it to the animated music videos of Gorillaz.
Oh.
I don't know why. That's something that keeps popping up in my head.
You know what? I can actually see that. Like in particular, like when she was getting visions of herself as a monster.
Yeah,
it looked like a character from the Gorillaz music videos. Now that I think about it, you're right.
It's just something because, like, you know, the eyes don't have pupils, the teeth are kind of like scraggly, and they don't have like a full set of teeth when, like, the monster form from the trailer, and that's just I don't know. It's something that sticks out to me. Let me know if it sticks out to anybody else now that you think about it.
Yeah, now that I think about it, it does stick out to me. I wonder if that may have been like a slight inspiration for the art style.
Huh.
It's
possibly
a possibility.
But the rest of the world feels like a very rough geometric world. Like it's not like 4K graphics. Like it's roughly polygonal. Like like soft 3D. But the way that they color it, it kind of reminds me of like something I've seen from like Firewatch with the way they use the colors,
Right.
more so than the geometry of the world.
Right.
But it definitely feels like it's going to be one of those very narrative heavy kind of games, kind of like the Girl and the Robot kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like this game is going to be. It's going to be very, narrative driven. It's probably going to have some puzzles to solve.
The key word that the developer used was relatable.
Yeah.
Because it talks about loneliness.
Well, I think that, they were talking about like the whole theme of it is just, anybody can relate to a character like the one you'll be seeing in this game due to the theme of loneliness, which I think everybody in a way can kind of understand that in some way. So it definitely makes it very interesting and definitely one worth checking out.
Sounds like something I'd definitely be interested in playing around with. I'm very much a story-driven person with my games, so...
Yeah, because I know that you and Wade are very story-driven, whereas myself and Jared were open to story-driving games, but we
typically prefer gameplay-oriented.
Yeah, gameplay-oriented and, really good art styles and stuff.
Yeah.
And of course, beyond the indie stuff on EA, we talked about the EA streaming thing service. We touched on that a little bit. I still think EA has some catching up to do in terms of what Microsoft is offering. I still think out of all of the subscription services that are out there, Microsoft has the best deal. The only thing that's really preventing me from getting an Xbox is the exclusives, which we can actually like have this transition into talking about Microsoft's conference, because I actually think Microsoft had a really good showing this year.
It definitely felt like they crammed the most games into their presentation.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's something that Microsoft tends to do every year. Like, it seems like every year when they come to E3, they have more games to show. And I think the reason why is because they know that they have a problem with exclusive content, and they want to try and drive the point home that they want Xbox to be the best place to play games, even if they don't have a lot of exclusives.
And they're also technically hitting on two platforms too, Xbox and PC.
But that's also one of the things that's preventing me from getting an Xbox is because I have a high-powered PC and I prefer to play
it's like,
on there.
why would you not buy their games on PC?
Because not only does it get mods and developer support for patches a lot quicker, it also, I have the option of using either keyboard or mouse or a controller because of all the controller and Bluetooth and other things that have come out now, to where everything pretty much works with everything.
But the first thing that Microsoft started the show off with was a teaser for a new Halo game they're calling Halo Infinite. I'm gonna be honest.
They'd let that series die?
No, I'm actually gonna be honest. I actually miss Halo. I do. I miss Halo.
I don't. They drove it into the ground for me.
I do think that they are driving it into the ground. But the point that I'm making is that I want Halo to come back and be great again. Because I remember back when I was younger, I absolutely adored Halo. Like, the first game is one of my favorite games of all time. I loved Halo 2. I know a lot of people weren't really big on the story of Halo 2, but I personally enjoyed it. And Halo 3 was a lot of fun to play too.
The biggest thing for me was, because this was back on, I think, the first or the second Halo, the local multiplayer with my friends. That was the big thing I remember.
Yes.
But for the story mode, I would always turn on all the silly modes. So like whenever I shoot things in the head, instead of blood, it's like confetti and goes yay and other things like that. So I was just I never took the game seriously, but I don't take much seriously to begin with.
Fair
so
point.
I like the silly stuff. Like the old school like Madden NFL games where you could turn on big head mode and that kind of stuff. I love silly nonsense like that.
That's one of the reasons why I love the Jack and Daxter series. They have all sorts of silly stuff like that. Like you get precursor orbs and unlock all this silly stuff like big head mode,
But
team mode.
A lot of developers feel like, I feel like they take their series, like their IPs overly serious now. And Master Chief, it feels like that character should have passed on the baton, kind of the way that Nathan Drake has kind of ended with Uncharted. But they just refuse to let Master Chief go because he's the iconic, I think, Spartan.
Well, I think the reason why they're pushing Master Chief so much is because back on the 360, they actually did try a few Halo games that didn't have Master Chief. They tried to create new characters, but nobody was interested.
Nah, fair enough.
But once they went back to Master Chief, everybody was just like, yeah, Master Chief, that's what we want.
Okay.
You know, that's why they put so much focus on Master Chief. It's just the character that everybody wants. So that I can understand why they're doing it the way that, because they did Halo ODST and they did Halo Reach, neither of which featured Master Chief. So
Yeah,
they
neither of them did well.
Yeah, you know.
Honestly, I'd like to see more kind of a remaster of like the first two or something like that to bring it to a newer generation.
Yeah. Well, they've already done that with the Master Chief Collection. It's just it's only available on the Xbox One. There is no PC version.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
So that being said, considering that Microsoft is trying to push the whole Play Anywhere thing now, I imagine at some point we're going to see the Master Chief Collection on PC at some point.
Yeah.
Probably, because I know they were definitely pushing that in their Xbox Game Pass.
Yeah, but I will say, because you said before, Jared, that the thing that's preventing you from getting an Xbox One is the fact that you can play their games on PC. I will counteract by saying this, and this is coming from a person who has not been swayed yet into wanting to buy an Xbox One, but Xbox One does offer the Xbox Game Pass service, which allows you to pay $10 a month and you get unlimited access to a whole bunch of games. Even if you do have access to them on PC, you don't have to buy them outright. You can just download them, play them for $10 a month.
You can download them. Okay, so that's what I was wondering.
And that's the part that caught my attention, because if I had to stream it, because this is something that we've talked about before behind the scenes, is that like people without access to reliable internet are kind of left dead in the water if you have to stream your games. Because we bought one of the Steam Links, I believe it was called, and our Wi-Fi just can't handle streaming the game to the TV.
Yeah,
it just lags. It's horrible. It just does not work because we don't have the internet to back it up.
Yeah, and I have the exact same internet that you guys have at my place, and I tried the Steam Link with the exact same way, and it just
I have this brand new 4K TV, and I'm streaming at 360p.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty much.
So, and like that's the reason why I don't think Sony's PlayStation Now is going to go anywhere anytime soon unless they start offering some kind of download option, because I get what they're doing. They want to be all like, hey, you can play PlayStation games on PlayStation, but also PC, smartphone, on your cheap laptop, so on and so forth. I get what they're doing, but
I can respect being like on the leading edge of technology, but you have to realize when you're at the leading edge of technology, not everybody else has caught up.
No.
I still know people that have CRTs and tube TVs.
Yeah, people still prefer the option to play their games offline.
Yeah.
And you know what, that's one downside to Xbox Game Pass, is that, you know, even though you are downloading the games, you do have to have an online connection to play the game. If you lose that online connection,
okay, so you still have to have internet access to even play.
But
the game
you don't have to have a high-speed internet connection. As long as you have a connection, that's all that's matters.
Yeah, you just have to download it, and then
But that being said, Sony has this. I know we're kind of off the rails talking about Microsoft press conference, but it tends to happen. But Sony has this interesting idea on PlayStation 4 that I think Xbox should incorporate. I don't know if Xbox has incorporated it yet, which is you have your PlayStation Network account, And then on that PlayStation Network account, you set your primary PS4 console. You only have one.
Mm-hmm.
And when you set that primary PS4 console, your games that you purchase digitally are not only tied to your account, but they're also tied to your primary PS4. So if you're playing on your primary PS4, even if your console no longer doesn't currently have an online connection, you can still play your digital games because it's your primary PS4.
Okay.
Okay.
You know, whereas if I were to log into y'all's PS4 on my account and try to play one of my digital games, if there's no online connection, I can't play the game.
Right.
Okay.
You know
Sounds
what I
more
mean?
like a
That makes
safeguard than
sense.
anything.
Yeah.
So
but
I don't know if Xbox has a system like that in place, but I would think that Sony has kind of set that standard of this is a good idea.
Yeah.
You know, because like people still want to play their games offline because internet still sucks in a
and,
lot of
like,
places.
What if they're doing maintenance at your internet service provider? Then you're kind of SOL.
Yeah.
Not even just your internet service provider, but Sony, because Sony has a bad reputation of PSN going down every 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that.
So,
But
let's...
for all those listening, the topic of like the industry going from like physical to digital and the implications for the internet and stuff like that, we're gonna be probably tackling that in a future podcast, just so you know. So we're not gonna go fully in depth to that.
We're not going to get too into that. It's
But,
just something
but that's
let's
something
go
we
ahead
wanted to
and
touch
go
on.
back towards the Microsoft
yeah,
conference.
it was just something. It's something worth mentioning. But let's go back to talking about the Microsoft press conference.
Was there anything from the Microsoft conference that you wanted to talk about, Taylor?
Well, I don't know how familiar you guys are with the Tomb Raider series, but they did they showed a little bit more of like the Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which is the third follow-up to the reboot.
Yeah.
And I've played both the first Tomb Raider and Rise of the Tomb Raider, which was the second one. And I was honestly kind of disappointed with the second one. The first one was really great, but the second one, it was kind of an overload of mechanics.
I have not played the second one, but I did play the first one. It was really good.
Mm-hmm.
And the first one was just a nice streamlined experience, very linear storytelling. It went straight to the point. The second one had so much built into the game in sense of stuff you keep track of, things you could get. You had trading cards, you had different story modes, you had DLC components, you had this, you had that, you had the other, you had online stuff. It was so much that
none of it is relevant to the story.
Exactly. And to me, it's I get the idea of wanting to circulate the player back through the game and to keep the replayability up. To me, the way they did it with the second one was complete bullshit.
It's just overbearing.
Yeah, especially considering that the mechanics of the game are pretty much the exact same issues that the first one had and probably the old games had, which was like horrible camera controls. The control of the character is just horrendous at best.
And that was something I wanted to comment on the remake from the trailer. The AI looked abysmal.
Yeah, no, the AI is absolutely hilarious.
Like,
they have no peripheral
Because
vision.
I
They have
remember
no audio sensory perception
there was
whatsoever.
two specific points from the trailer that I remember. Is one, she shot a guy in the shoulder, and then he got pissed off at his like other two guards that were there, and he just started shooting them.
Yep.
She's like, you got shot in the shoulder with an arrow. You're not asking for a medic. You're pissed off at the guy next to you. Thinking he shot you in the shoulder from above when he's 20 feet over there.
Yeah.
Ow, you shot me. I'm
clearly a gun.
And there's just so many different mechanics to it that need so much work that they're just adding a bunch of all this unnecessary bullshit to it that most people probably won't pay attention to. Or probably just go, oh, well, that's a thing. And they move on. That it's like, stop deviating your attention away from the core mechanics of it.
Yeah.
Make that better first. And nobody goes into Tomb Raider thinking, oh, I'm going to play with a bunch of other Lara Crofts. That's not the core of it. The core of it is a linear storytelling. And that's another pet peeve of mine is they keep going back to the same fucking story again. With
where
Trinity.
she gets trapped on an island and shit. Or something like that, right?
Well, it's the story they have is that they have this overbearing corporation named Trinity that keeps trying to basically take over the world or make people immortal or some stupid bullshit. And
like,
Laura never gets to the point where she gets rid of Trinity or gets that. She keeps going after the same crap, and it's like
with
woo,
a phone
same
named
story.
Trinity, that feels like that would be a perfect thing to just at least round out that enemy's or that corporation's arc in 3 games.
Yeah.
And then move on to something else.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that's what they do with Shadow. I'm hoping that they take some of that bullcrap away. They make the experience a lot more streamlined, and they round out the story.
Because what they're doing with Shadow of the Tomb Raider looks a lot more like they're emphasizing more on the survival aspect. Mm-hmm. That's what it looks like.
Because, I mean, I'll play it. I'll probably get it on a sale or something. I'm not going to get it first out. But it's just, to me, that seeing the second one, what the second one could have been, it does not make me anticipate getting Shadow at all. Mm-hmm. At all. It was frustrating to get through that game because of so many things that you had to pay attention to. It was poor execution, in my opinion. And so,
fair enough, yeah, and I agree with you. The first rebooted Tomb Raider game was an excellent game. Mm-hmm. But I've seen the second game, and after seeing what's coming of the third game, I'm not really that impressed.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Who knows? Maybe it'll be better than we think it is.
I'm hoping so.
But anyway, moving on. Another game that Microsoft showed off, which was kind of interesting. Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yep.
Finally got a release date.
It's just, and this is something else that I wanted to comment on, not to get sidetracked with Kingdom Hearts real quick, but is it just me, or does it feel like all of the developers are kind of stealing each other's stees a little bit on the games?
Yeah.
Like, there was a lot of intermingling between developers.
It wasn't kind of disorganized.
Yeah.
It wasn't just that, because
we saw Fallout 76, Kingdom Hearts, and I believe there was another game multiple times across the conference.
Well, that's what I was about to say, is that Fallout 76 trailer that we saw at Bethesda's conference that you guys love, which we'll be talking about that later. It wasn't shown off at Bethesda's conference first. It was shown off at Microsoft's conference first.
I don't get that. I get that you're going
we saw the same trailers
yeah.
multiple times. But Square Enix did the same thing with Kingdom Hearts. The Frozen reveal that they showed off in Microsoft, they showed the exact same trailer, literally the exact same trailer in the Square Enix conference. Mm-hmm. Which, by the way, the Square Enix conference, I'm sorry, it was a complete waste of time.
Really?
It was a complete waste of time. All they did was repeat the same stuff that had already been said in other conferences.
Yeah. There are a couple of things I would like to comment on Square Enix, but we'll get to there later.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute, but I wanted to talk about Kingdom Hearts. First of all, we got a release date for Kingdom Hearts 3 finally, and it is January 29th, 2019.
And I could see them making that date. I could see them making that date.
They better. How many times they've pushed it back.
Well, okay, so I'm going to counteract that by saying Square Enix has never once pushed Kingdom Hearts 3 back.
They just refuse to admit a release date.
Yeah.
So, because I know Kingdom Hearts 3 has this kind of reputation of they keep delaying it over and over and over. I'm like, no, they never announced Kingdom Hearts 3 until that E3 announcement trailer in 2013. Until that point, Kingdom Hearts 3 was never actually confirmed to be in development.
Yeah.
And since then, they have never once delayed the game. They've simply said, it's in development. We'll tell you more later.
And that's the smarter thing to do. And as a company, you don't want to reveal too much, which
exactly.
I feel like Bethesda may have overplayed their hand a little bit.
Because you know what? Square Enix made a lot of mistakes in the amount of delays that they had to put on Final Fantasy 15. And I think with Kingdom Hearts 3, they said, no, we're not going to mess it up this time.
Yeah, they can't because Disney.
Yeah. Exactly. So, but Kingdom Hearts 3 finally got a release date, and in its first trailer at Microsoft's press conference, we saw the Frozen reveal, which I fucking called it. I fucking knew they were going to have a Frozen world.
Oh, absolutely.
I would have been shocked if they didn't do it. And I had so many people saying, they haven't revealed a Frozen world yet. They're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. I'm like, they're going to do it. Mm-hmm. They're going to do it. I guarantee you they're going to do it. And as soon as the trailer started and I saw they were in the middle of a whole bunch of snow, I was just like, Frozen. There it is. Mm-hmm. We're going to see it.
Well, it's actually, I was discussing this with Bumblure a while back, and I won't press on this too much, but why wouldn't they?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
The Kingdom Hearts is essentially, and it's built for this, and that's part of the beauty of it. It's built to show off Disney IPs.
Yeah, and Frozen is Disney's most popular IP right now.
Yeah. So they're going to use that to its advantage to push those IPs.
Oh, yeah.
It's doing the same kind of thing with Wreck-It Ralph right now. The one that's coming up.
Yeah, the movie.
Yeah, they're going to push those IPs. Why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
But Kingdom Hearts is built to be able to do that. Not necessarily in a commercial sense, but in the sense of an immersive sense. so that you could get a taste of all the different worlds. That's the concept it was built on. Of course, Disney's going to take advantage of that.
Yeah.
I think.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't they say like Wreck-It Ralph actually is going to appear in that as
He's
well?
a summon.
Yeah, he appears as a summon. He doesn't get his own world, but he's a summon.
Yeah. So it's of course they're going to implement that as much as they can. I get it.
And plus, they've also confirmed Big Hero 6, but we still haven't seen it yet. We still have not seen the Big Hero 6 world yet.
There's one thing from the Kingdom Hearts trailer that I want to call attention to, and that's the Toy Story segment.
Okay.
Because you see the big robot. What was it, Lord Zed? No, that's not it. I'm trying to remember the villain from like Buzz Lightyear's foil. I forgot what that character's name.
I can't remember what he was called.
It's been so long.
But it looked like a heartless robot inspired by that character was attacking Ham. And like Donald, Goofy, and Sora block the attack completely. Doesn't look like they're struggling. And then 1 second later, Woody tackles Ham. Just kind of like just out of nowhere, just like, yeah, pig! The timing was horrible. And the fact that they took out a lot of the sound effects to play the music.
Let's talk about that for a second.
That was uncomfortable.
So I you know what? I get what they were going for. They were trying to create like this kind of like dramatic sequence of cutscenes that was highlighting the music. They were just like, no sound effects. You're just hearing the voice acting in these tense moments with the music, playing in the background to kind of make it seem more tense. I get what they were going for, but the way they presented it was unbelievably awkward and it did not work.
Well,
I think it would have been better if they had just done it the way that they did it when they first revealed what the theme song of the game was, which was mute everything and just play the music and highlight the music only.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say exclude the voice acting, but when it doesn't have a musical backing, it draws attention to the voice acting, and every little single thing that's wrong with voice acting, it shows it.
Yeah.
And it makes it uncomfortable. And that's what I noticed, is because he was commenting, he was like, what is wrong with the voice acting on this?
Okay,
it's not
so
right. And I was like, there isn't. There's no music.
So I'm gonna go ahead and say this. I hear a lot of people complaining about the voice acting in Kingdom Hearts 3 from those trailers, and that actually kind of surprised me because I was just like, the voice acting doesn't sound any different than it's ever been.
Well, what it
but
is
it sounds different when there's no music or sound effects.
The voice acting, because the way they did the trailer, is the voice acting isn't blended into the world, so you aren't experiencing all of the environmental sound effects that would cover up the minor things that you wouldn't notice normally.
It makes the rest of the experience very awkward.
Yeah. It's because like there's one character, I think she's a member of Organization 13. She's like blonde and has like little antennae bangs or something.
I can't remember her name, but
I can't remember that character's name, but it's just the way she delivers that line without anything else or any dramatic sound or anything. It sounds like she has the hots for Elsa. And in a weird way.
But like,
let's create some ships in this podcast.
And I think you're right. I think the lack of sound effects and stuff like that was the thing that was highlighting the voice acting a lot more. And, Kingdom Hearts is known for having melodramatic voice acting. That's what it's known for. That's like one of the charms that it has. So when you take away a lot of the environmental elements to kind of contribute to that melodramatic voice acting, it just makes the voice acting sound more awkward than it actually is.
And that's the problem. It wasn't the voice acting. It was the fact of lack of context with it. Yeah. There was like nothing to de-emphasize it.
Yeah.
And to immerse that a little bit more in each world. It made it a very awkward thing. Yeah. In my opinion.
To talk about Kingdom Hearts again, we're still talking about the Microsoft press conference, but I also want to tie this in with the Sony reveal, because Sony had a Kingdom Hearts 3 trailer and they revealed another world as well, which was the Pirates of the Caribbean world.
Yes, I remember that now.
I was kind of hoping they wouldn't go back to it because I didn't feel that it blended well in Kingdom Hearts 2.
It looked like garbage in the.
It looked like absolute garbage. It's like you have these cartoony anime-like characters standing next to a realistic-looking Jack Sparrow. It's like, no, it does not work.
Yeah, the worlds do not blend well.
But they won't let Pirates of the Caribbean die, and that's probably part of the problem.
Yeah. But
they keep making sequels.
I will say,
the trailer made it look decent.
Yes, I was about to say, they actually are making efforts to blend the art styles together better. And you want to know something? the art style and graphics that they're putting into the Pirates of the Caribbean world and characters, like when they showed that scene of Jack like going down the sandhill on the Black Pearl, that was actually a stunning scene to look at. Like it actually looked really good.
Well, and I think part of it, what it was, is that Kingdom Hearts 2 came out for the PlayStation 2?
Yeah.
And they just didn't have the technology to make realistic graphics that believable at that time period.
True.
And so they tried to do something hyper realistic with Pirates of the Caribbean when they had the cartoony graphics of a PlayStation 2 game to make everything softer. And they just reached an uncanny valley, I want to say.
Yeah, and it wasn't
where they just. Ugh.
And it wasn't just Kingdom Hearts 2. They also did it with Dream Drop Distance when they did the Tron Legacy World, and same problem, same exact problem.
But the graphics have gotten now to where like they kind of dumbed down the realism from Pirates of the Caribbean, but they've also stepped up the graphics from Kingdom Hearts now going into Kingdom Hearts 3. So their lines are closer to where they blend better.
They're kind of meeting in the middle.
And plus they're making Sora look like he belongs in that world better by changing his costume and making him look more like a pirate who's been through rough times.
Yeah.
You know, and like he looks more like he belongs in that world now than he did before.
Did they give him a peg leg?
Oh, I wish.
I wish.
Did somebody have a peg leg?
A peg
Maybe
leg
Donald.
with a big old empty shoe.
Donald has a peg leg. Maybe Donald has a peg leg.
And an eye patch. Somebody
has an eye patch or a peg
one of
leg.
the three of them has to have an eye patch. I don't remember if they do or not, but they have to. So yeah, Kingdom Hearts 3 coming out January 29th, 2019. That's a good date, I think, and I'm really excited about it. Was there anything else in Microsoft's conference we wanted to touch on?
There was one other thing. Sekiro
Shadows Die Twice. I want that game.
Yes.
That game looks
I've only
amazing.
heard about this, so I don't know anything about it.
It's from the developers of Dark Souls, right?
Yes, it's from the same people.
Wow.
Yeah. So the combat looks heavily inspired by Dark Souls. I wouldn't say it looks a lot more faster paced than Dark Souls. So it's set in, because Dark Souls you create your own character, but this one it feels like there's a static character and an actual story and narrative.
This one's actually going to be a lot more narrative driven, and the developers also said that the game's going to be even harder than Bloodborne and Dark Souls.
Damn.
Yes.
Well, looking at some of the characters, it looks like they almost dive slightly into like the Oni and other inspirations of Japanese culture with that game. So there's a lot of like, I would say almost ogre-sized like humanoids wielding like giant, almost like machete-style samurai swords.
That sounds right up your alley.
Oh
Bumblure.
yes, I am looking so forward to that.
We
game.
have to play that on the channel, man.
But like
we gotta
the pace
do it.
of some of the
That'd be so
combat
fun.
and the fact that he has this weird bone hand with a grappling hook or something, it's just. It looks like you'll be able to freely explore the world, almost kind of like how Breath of the Wild, like you can climb up onto whatever the hell you want.
Yeah, they're making it
cool.
more open, it looks like, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, and
that definitely sounds like channel material.
So, and plus they're going with a samurai theme, which, have you noticed, like, a little bit off topic, but have you noticed that there's been kind of like a big comeback for like samurai games?
And pirates.
I was going to comment on this. Post-apocalyptic, pirates, sci-fi, and samurais.
Yes.
Those are like the big ones of E3. Like it wasn't just Sekiro, it was also Ghost of Tsushima at Sony's E3, which that game looks cool too. We'll talk about that in a bit.
We're kind of coming off the zombie
Finally.
craze.
Finally.
So we're starting to move a little bit past that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Thank you.
definitely.
Maybe the
Those
end
are
of-
going to be the games of next year.
Maybe the last season of The Walking Dead will kind of put a nail in that coffin for a little while at least.
Yeah. But Sekiro looks really awesome. I'm going to be buying that day one. I want that game. That looks really awesome.
So speaking of Sony, what was at Sony that intrigued you guys?
Well, actually,
I know nothing.
Before we get to Sony, there's one more thing from Microsoft's press conference I think we should touch on, which is Cyberpunk.
Oh, honestly, that's another thing I really don't know anything about, but I've heard a lot of people like raving about this because it's been in development for a while, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's from the same people who made The Witcher 3.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and
know
it's
that.
supposed to be some like really like futuristic sci-fi looking thing.
Okay.
But I don't know anything about it. But I've heard like people are just ecstatic over
Yes.
this finally getting some traction.
I'm still kind of wary on that game because, me being a person who loves traditional fantasy, sci-fi is never usually a theme that really strikes my fancy immediately. I have to see more. But like traditional fantasy is like one of those things that like immediately catches my attention. I'm like, this looks epic. I want it.
Yeah, I'm
Whereas
with you.
sci-fi is like, this is really cool and all, but we already see a whole bunch of this already.
Because like sci-fi is definitely, because like what was it? This is back in the EA conference, but Anthem. It like the way I described it to somebody is just like, if you're Iron Man in the jungle.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what it kind of feels like. There's a lot of sci-fi games coming out.
Yeah, and that's why I'm just
Which,
like, you know,
to be fair, Anthem does look pretty cool, but I have to like, I'm still approaching it with caution.
because you have like Destiny and Halo is actually making a return, that kind of thing.
My
It's just
only problem with Anthem, it feels like it's going to end up becoming a grind fest.
Yeah, that's what it feels. I know that they're trying to. I know that a lot of people say that Anthem feels a lot very similar to Monster Hunter in ways, but I have to see more to really understand
but it is being made by BioWare, and they have a pretty good track record of actually incorporating a lot of story in their games. So I'm hoping that it's going to do well.
yeah.
Yeah, I hope it's doing well, but Cyberpunk is definitely one to look out for, and I love the way Microsoft presented it because like. They did kind of like a fake out ending. You know, they were just like, this is the end of our conference. You guys have a great E3 and see you. And then there was like a glitch out and they were just like, one more thing. And it was Cyberpunk. And that was the one that everybody was waiting for. So like, it was a cool way that they presented it. Just like, you know, it's all over. Oh, wait, no, it's not.
It was fun. It was funny. Speaking of, you know, the one that they were waiting for, and what we can come back to Bethesda, but just the reactions of the audience to the stuff that began the Bethesda conference.
Yeah.
Oh my God! First, you had that like really cold reception to Andrew WK's performance, which was just laughable.
Yeah. Okay.
Honestly.
Let's go ahead and move on to Bethesda's press conference.
That was so laughable. But then they did like Rage 2 and then Doom Eternal, and everybody's kind of like, okay, yeah, sure,
But,
wonderful. Everybody was waiting for Fallout.
I know, but I love Doom Eternal.
But it was
Doom
just,
Eternal is
it was,
definitely a good one.
It was just, it was hard to watch in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
That first part of it, just
I
because
hear
it was
ya.
like, it made you feel bad.
Yeah.
Because they were presenting a lot of really neat stuff for Rage 2 and Doom, and it was just like the audience was like, okay, sure,
Yeah.
all right.
And they did a lot of coverage for Elder Scrolls Online, which cool. You know, I mean,
That was not what people wanted.
No.
Yeah,
Elder
no, it
Scrolls
wasn't.
Blades and Elder Scrolls Online was not what people were looking for.
I know people were waiting for Fallout 76,
Yeah.
so we'll go ahead and talk about that because I know you guys are really excited about it.
Yeah, I mean, we're
huge Fallout fans.
Yeah, as soon as we get the chance, we're going to be getting into that beta because we definitely want to see it.
I can't get into Fallout. I actually just recently downloaded your copy of Fallout 4, Jared, to just kind of like try it out. I spent like about 3 or 4 hours with it. Mm-hmm. I wasn't really enjoying my time with it.
It's not a game that's for everybody.
Yeah, it's an acquired taste. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, if you enjoy it, you enjoy it. That's fine. It's just I tried both Fallout 3 and 4, and it just isn't for me. Maybe I don't know. Maybe New Vegas is one that I would like
And
more. But I don't know.
think probably what it is that because a lot of that game is exploration. There's not as much gameplay.
Yeah.
Whereas I think now with Fallout 76, they're putting a bigger emphasis on the gameplay because
True.
it's multiplayer. You're experiencing that with your friends. You
Yeah.
have the option to go out into the world solo, but you also have the option to form, I think, up to four people groups and go out and explore the world together. And that feels a lot more fun and interesting to uncover stories and elements. Like you go into a vault and you discover what horrible things Vault Tech is doing on your own. It's just kind of a, oh shit. But think of it, if you all kind of fan out and explore different parts of a vault, and each person uncovers a piece and you're talking to each other, trying to piece this together.
Yeah. I will say this: Fallout 76 looks like it would be more up my alley.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely going to want to try out the beta to at least give it a shot.
Yeah, you'll have to pre-order it to get access to the beta. But what's interesting is, okay, a lot of people came into this very skeptical because when the rumors came out that they were going to try to emphasize a multiplayer experience, everybody's like, no. No.
Yeah. That was a very hard no.
Yeah.
But Bethesda is very well known for focusing on single player experiences, so I can understand the reaction.
Yeah. But Fallout in itself how it's structured really owes itself to that kind of experience. So I see why they want to go in that direction. However, a lot of people, since this beta has come out, a lot of people have pretty much been silenced in that regard, in the sense that they have no qualms about it anymore. They, because people were concerned, do not take away my solo experience.
Yeah.
I do not necessarily want to play online with other people. Do not take that away from me. Since the beta's come out, everybody's like, we're cool.
Yeah.
We cool.
And they made sure to cover that in the conference, that you can still have your solo single player experience, but we are also opening this to a multiplayer experience as well,
Right.
if you so choose.
Yeah.
And you know what? I actually really like that idea, because it sounds like what Bethesda's doing is they're saying, hey, you know what? We're going to make a game that's it's pretty much the like very similar to that of like your, regular Fallout game, but you can play with friends now. And you know what? That's actually the kind of online game I've always wanted to play. Just like, not like a massive MMO or something, just a game that is like a single player form, but you just happen to come across other people and you can play with them.
Yeah, and they're stepping into it lightly.
Yeah.
Honestly, because the way they're doing it is from the way they said it, each server will only have about a few dozen people, tops.
Yeah.
Right. And that's a good thing.
You're not going to be World of Warcraft, 100,000 people in one server. It's not happening.
Thank goodness for that.
They want to cater it very carefully
Yes.
to kind of step their toes into this to see if it works. They know full well that Fallout, the Fallout universe owes itself to this kind of thing, but they do not want to alienate their single player audience.
Yeah.
Also,
So I think they're playing it very well.
also that map size.
Yeah.
4 times as big as Fallout 4.
Yeah, that's a big honking game.
That is a big game.
That is
That is a
God.
big game.
Now, the one thing I am a little worried about is if I'm playing online, I'm doing my thing, I'm having a good old time, there is a chance, a very, very, very slight chance, that some random jerk is going to drop a nuke on my head.
I wanted to comment on that. And I was just like, I loved the way that Todd Howard presented that. He was just like, so we thought it would be a fun idea to just put a whole bunch of nukes on the map. And then he just went silent for a few seconds. He was just like, and then just let all of you do whatever you want with them.
So it's going to be like Dark Souls invaded. All of a sudden, boosh, you died.
Yeah, pretty much.
I have to say, the nuke idea sounds really fun.
Yep.
Yeah, I really hope that damage doesn't persist, though. Because if you blow up like a certain area, now it's nothing but rubble and wasteland. What if you had a quest there?
No, I don't think they'll have it.
I
to
highly
that.
doubt they would do something like
But
that.
they did also emphasize that progression is never hindered by death.
Okay.
So, if some jackass does do that to you, which is very likely, then
I have a feeling one of them's in this room.
yeah, you'd be the one doing
I'm
that
gonna be
shit.
the random jerk that'll drop a nuke on my head.
Yeah,
I'm just going to sit in the corner
I just want
and
to
wait
see
to
what
drop
this
my
looks
nuke.
like.
yeah. No,
Actually,
I know.
yeah, I would do that.
Yeah, exactly. I know it'd be you. Absolutely.
Fire the nuke, go stand outside and watch as it just goes up and then straight back down.
You've done that shit in Far Cry 5. Come on. I want to see.
No, that is absolutely something he would do.
Absolutely. You can go and point fingers all you fucking want. You better be pointing at yourself.
That's true.
But then again, I would probably do the same thing to him.
Yeah. And I'll just go off the other direction and find a dog companion and just leave you to your vices.
While
You
me
guys
and
are
Jared just
idiots.
have our nuke wars.
Yes. Good
Okay, I want
Lord.
this game now.
Yeah. So anyway, Elder Scrolls.
Okay, before we get to that, because I know that's a big one, but before we get to that, another highlight is Starfield. I wanted to touch on that too.
There's not much they gave us on that though.
So
Yeah.
I wanted to touch on it and say that what it sounds to me like, it's going to be kind of like a Bethesda style single player experience, but in space.
Yeah, and I was wondering, is the gameplay going to be more on foot, or is it going to be more like space combat like Star Fox?
They didn't give us anything to
Yeah.
tell.
I can kind of see them incorporating some space combat and also some on foot stuff. Like, I can kind of see this being kind of like the No Man's Sky that actually should have been No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know?
potentially.
I can't get into that kind of space sci-fi stuff. I've never been
I
able
can't
to
really
get into
either,
that.
but I will say I am intrigued by the idea of a Bethesda game that takes place in space.
Yeah.
That is an intriguing idea.
So
I just love how like developers love to compare their map sizes to each other, and how like what was it? Breath of the Wild was like 4 times bigger than Skyrim.
Well, it wasn't 4 times. It wasn't 4 times bigger than Skyrim. It was like 2.5.
Yeah, but
big,
it's just like,
something like that.
Fallout is like, it's 4 times bigger than the last game. And it's just like, No Man's Sky with its procedurally generated infinite worlds is just like, our game is bigger than the freaking universe.
yeah. Okay, so I don't want to go into Elder Scrolls 6 just yet. I want to go into Elder Scrolls Blades.
The
Yeah.
mobile?
Yeah, because I think this is what everybody's like, oh, Elder Scrolls. What the fuck is this?
Yeah.
I will say the game does look pretty cool.
It's just
I will say it does look
everybody
kinda
in the audience, because there was a slight moment where they showed the audience. It was just like everybody was like a small dog that didn't know what was going on. They just all cocked their heads.
Yeah.
Like,
It's going to
really?
be, I think it's going to be really
Like,
interesting. I want to see how they translate it to different platforms.
yeah, I'm actually interested in this game. Like, I want to see them bring it to the Switch.
Yeah.
I
I
like
think
it-
it would work really well on the
I
Switch.
think because they said that they're working on bringing it to as many platforms as they possibly can. So that to me speaks that they're going to bring this to the Switch. Which if they bring it to the Switch, I'll definitely try it.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm worried about is that whenever you port that over to an actual console, like on mobile, the simplicity makes sense, but I'm just wondering, is it going to be too simple on a console?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got to think like Dead Secret. That was kind of a point and click adventure, essentially.
That's true.
That's basically what it's going to end up
Yeah,
being.
simplified
But
games
Dead
on
Secret
consoles
was
is not a
also
bad
supposed
thing.
to be
But
VR.
I don't think it's going to be as successful on other platforms as it would be on a mobile platform,
Yeah.
personally. So I don't
Yeah.
think they're going to be getting as much revenue from console.
Thankfully, though, they did say that the multiplayer aspect of the game is crossplay.
Yeah.
So you'll be able. So like if you're on Switch or well, not PlayStation. We'll talk about that on another podcast. If you're on like Switch or iOS or PC or Xbox or whatever, you'll be able to play with each other.
Yeah.
So
I think it's interesting because they had like, and I think it was back at the EA conference. They actually had Command and Conquer presented their Rivals game, and it seems like there's a lot of these bigger games that are trying to make a resurgence into mobile gaming. Even though I think kind of mobile gaming has kind of passed.
Oh God.
phase.
Okay, so I you bring up the EA thing. I just want to comment on this. The amount of time they spent on that, like what was it? The Ghost Recon was it?
You mean the Command and Conquer one?
Command and Conquer. That's right. The
Command and Conquer
mobile
Rivals.
They spent way too much time.
I don't
on
think it's
that.
substantiated it personally. Command and Conquer loyalists want a refreshed PC experience, and they're not getting
And
it.
I am one of them.
Yeah.
I love Red Alert.
I grew up with Command and Conquer.
Yeah,
that is not
like,
what I would want.
When I was watching that, when I was watching the reveal of that Command and Conquer game, like just how much they dragged it out and just what they were turning Command and Conquer into, I was just like, wow, the Command and Conquer fan base is pissed.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. Imagine trying to do that much tiny minutia on a cell phone. It doesn't work.
Mhm.
No.
That
It
needs
would
to
be
be a
better.
PC game.
It would be better on a tablet, but how many people are going to lug around a tablet and play Command?
It would be good on a Switch.
Yeah, on Switch it would make sense.
Bring it to a TV. That way you can see what the hell you're doing.
Or better, just make an actual Command and Conquer game.
Yeah.
There you go.
That too.
People would love to have a refreshed Command and Conquer, a revival of the Command and Conquer series, and
But
this is not it.
I definitely feel like if they're going to bring back Command and Conquer, though, they need to either go back to the GDI and Brotherhood of Nod era, or do something more akin to Red Alert, but not Red Alert 2.
No.
Red Alert
they
2
really
and
need to
Yuri's Revenge got weird.
And they really need to stay away from like the Tiberian Sun and all that kind of crap era, because that is just when they got stupid with it, in my opinion. Honestly, it was like similar to what Call of Duty did, where in their later ones, where they started getting more futuristic with it and lasers and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. It got stupid. It got really stupid. Red Alert had the same kind of track
Although I
record
will
with it.
say, armed dolphins, I am all for.
That sounds
Armed
awesome.
dolphins and killer squids that can attack submarines, I am all for that.
But
Listen to that back and understand how ridiculous that sounds. That should not be in a Red Alert game.
No.
I get what you're saying, but that should not be in a Red Alert game. That's my exact
Dolphins wearing armor with big ass bazookas.
I think they had like sonic cannons or something in,
Yeah.
in that game.
I know
It's
what you're talking
crazy.
about. And
But anyway, we're going back to EA.
But that's what I was saying. In general, mobile gaming, for some reason, they're seeing it as like a huge thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Bethesda talked about like Fallout Shelter and stuff like that. I'm just like, is mobile gaming still like
I don't
a hype?
think mobile.
it's still a big thing. It's just not like it's not what people are looking
and
for.
this is
Yeah.
what I think is that mobile gaming isn't as big in like I would say the US, but I would definitely see over in like the East, like Asia, mobile gaming is something I would imagine is very big.
Yeah,
Right.
portable consoles
And
are huge.
I would
over there.
also understand Europe is kind of a middle ground.
Yeah. But I'm kind of surprised to see it as something as heavily developer and console based as E3, that there was such a heavy representation of mobile gaming.
Yeah.
'Cause you're not going
especially
to get
from EA.
Bethesda booth next to the Farmville booth. It's not going to happen. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of surprised by it
Yeah.
that they're putting as much
Yeah.
emphasis still on mobile gaming as
A lot of the
are.
people at E3, like a lot of the viewers of E3, were not very happy about that. To be
Yeah.
honest. But let's get back to Bethesda. Let's go ahead and address the elephant in the room when it comes to Bethesda's E3 conference.
They finally announced a new Elder Scrolls.
Yes.
The
Now,
wonderful appendage at the end of that conference.
I do not care if they had nothing to show other than just a landscape and a logo. They did it, and that's all I care about.
I just love that you have like a bunch of people, like thousands of people on YouTube deconstructing this tiny little teaser,
Already.
trying to figure out
Yeah.
what
I
it is.
love it. I love it.
You got fanboys just scrambling over themselves figuring
all
this
of the
out.
Elder Scrolls games are based in like a certain region, so a lot of them are trying to probably figure out where is this game going to be based in.
when
a
it's
lot of-
probably not even a final rendition of what it will be, and they probably didn't even put it in the area where
Yeah.
it's indicative of.
Most people are saying it's going to be either High Rock or a combination of that and Hammerfell. That's what a lot of people are saying.
Hammerfell, okay.
Yeah.
Either and there's some people saying it may actually be an entirely different continent than Tamriel.
Possibly.
So I mean,
Never
there is
know
that
with them.
possibility. Tamriel is not the only continent in the franchise's lore.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they may actually go to a different continent. But in terms of like the layout and the structures that you see in the trailer, a lot of people think that it looks like High Rock. But High Rock by itself would be way too small of a map when compared to past games because it's smaller than Skyrim. So some people are saying, what if they combined High Rock with Hammerfell, which is right next to High Rock?
Possible.
Yeah.
That would make the map way bigger than Skyrim because Hammerfell is huge.
Yeah.
So I could see them doing that.
Well,
But
at that point, they could probably just do Hammerfell and have that represent the region for the most
Yeah.
part. But yeah, it's
So-
that's interesting. I mean, it's crazy how such a tiny little teaser pretty much just won
Yeah.
E3. There's like nothing that they were able to
And
show, and
that's-
everybody wanted that.
That's the thing about Bethesda's conference that really stuck out to me as compared to everybody else. Because traditionally, game developers play everything very close to their chest. If they don't have anything, they won't say anything.
yeah.
Bethesda pretty much said, this is what we're doing for the next 5 years.
Yeah,
And I'm perfectly fine with that.
And that's what I like about Bethesda is that, especially with like Fallout 76 and stuff like that, they're listening to their audience and they're seeing what the potential is for these things, and they're going, okay, here, we're gonna let you know. Here's what's going on. This is the first time they've opened up Fallout to a beta.
Yeah.
They want to know what people are thinking, and they want
And it's
people's
because
input.
because multiplayer is a big element in this one, so you would need people to test it.
yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of developers
love-
that
I-
have dove into that blindly and
love
have
how-
failed because of it.
I love how Todd Howard approached the explanation behind the beta. He's just like, so it's like, yes, we're going to have a beta because online games are really tough to make, especially with us. I hear online that our games are pretty buggy. I read it on the internet, so it
Yeah.
must be true.
I mean, I was playing Fallout just the other day, and Mama Murphy somehow climbed onto the roof.
I love that Bethesda is so self-aware of themselves. And you know what?
Yep.
They highlighted how self-aware of themselves they are with like the Skyrim thing. He's just like, we know why you guys are actually here. You guys are here to see where we're putting Skyrim next.
Yep.
And you know
that
what?
skit was hilarious.
But you want to know the best part about that skit?
It's real.
It's real.
Yeah.
Skyrim is actually on Alexa.
Yes. It is a legit thing.
It's amazing.
I'm just like, okay, I can totally get on board with that. The little spy machine over there can play D&D with you, essentially. I'm cool with it.
And the whole reason Bethesda did that is because of the self-aware joke. It's kind of their way of just making fun of themselves. Like, we know what we're doing, and we acknowledge it, and we're going to have fun with it.
Mm-hmm.
So I respect Bethesda a lot for that.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
self-aware, and they can have fun with that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
No, honestly, I think Bethesda kind of won E3, in my opinion. They were one of the strongest conferences.
They showed they didn't have a ton of different like IPs to show, but they definitely knew how to play to the audience.
Yeah. Except for the disaster of the Rage 3 performance.
Yeah, but that's why they started off with it. Because,
to get the worst out of the way.
Yeah, you saved the best for last, which
bad.
was the
Elder Scrolls
teaser. So they knew what they were doing and they were building up. But I mean, it's just like the response from the end of the convention as compared to EA, when like they were talking about FIFA and some of the other things, it was just kind of like that one guy with the little streamer or Monty Python the Holy Grail where there was much rejoicing.
Yeah.
Now, I will say this. I think the main reason why they showed that teaser for Elder Scrolls 6 is because they knew that people were not going to have the brightest reaction to the Elder Scrolls Blades thing. So they were just I think they threw in that teaser to try and just make sure
people forget.
Yeah, well, not make people forget, but just make sure people realize, like, don't worry, this is not the only Elder Scrolls thing we're doing.
Yeah.
Elder Scrolls 6 is coming.
Yeah.
I can
guarantee
see that.
it.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's honestly a way to keep Elder Scrolls on the radar for a lengthy period of time.
Yeah, but we're not going to see Elder Scrolls 6 for quite some time.
No.
Like, at the earliest, I see it maybe 2020, but I don't expect it that early.
Yeah, probably 2021, truth be told.
Yeah.
With how big those games are, possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
and plus, not to mention, Starfield has to come out first.
Yeah.
And that's still a little ways out.
Yeah, that's another massive game.
Yeah.
So, moving on from Bethesda, then I believe Square Enix was the next developer to showcase.
Yeah, we don't have to spend too much time on that because
They didn't really show much.
it was a waste of time, is what it was. They just repeated the same stuff that's been shown at Microsoft and other conferences. It was a complete waste of time.
I came out of that conference with more questions and just like, huh? than answers. Because like one of the games I wanted to talk about was Octopath Traveler.
Oh, I want that game so bad.
That is the one game from their conference that I was just like, I want.
Did you get the demo?
Well, we played the demo, or is there another demo?
There's a new demo.
Oh, I didn't know.
There's a new demo, and in the new demo, you can pick any one of the characters. And the best part about the new demo, your progress carries over.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay.
Yes. There's one limitation though. You can only play it for 3 hours. 3 hours is your max.
Okay.
Interesting.
Huh.
But
That's
you're
an interesting
That's
way
an
to
interesting
handle it.
structure to
But
it.
they,
Yeah.
but they make all the characters accessible from the very beginning. The only restrictions are that you only have 3 hours to play it, and you cannot leave the opening area of the character you're playing. But your progress will carry over to the final game.
Okay, so you don't have to replay the intro. Okay.
Exactly.
Neat. Because I love Final Fantasy Tactics. That is one of my favorite Final Fantasy franchises that they've made, and I wish they would make some more, but this feels like something that was specifically derived from the job system of Final Fantasy.
Yeah,
like the earlier days of Final Fantasy.
The job system, as well as going back to being more turn-based, which I am so happy that it's turn-based. Like, we don't see turn-based RPGs ananymore.
No, you're right.
We don't see them anymore. And this is also one of those turn-based RPGs where, like, it also has the little guidance system where it tells you, like, whose turn is coming next, like in that Final Fantasy X style.
It's like, I'm assuming some characters may be able to kind of bump and control that order.
Yes, and that, like, I was playing the new demo recently. I was playing as Therion the Thief because I love the Thief characters. And that was the first, like, at the very top of the screen, it shows you the order of which the turns are, just like Final Fantasy X. And I'm just like, I've been asking for this for ages, for a new JRPG that has this turn-based system, and we're finally getting it with Octopath. And it's like very classic RPG style from like the...
And I think the
Super
reason
Nintendo
they
kinda
decided to do Octopath Traveler is because they needed to create something that was separate from Final Fantasy, because I think what Final Fantasy VI was kind of the last game that was close to that style.
Yes.
And now they've completely moved into like real-time combat and other things. So Final Fantasy has evolved, but there's a lot of people clamoring for that classic Final Fantasy feel, and Octopath Traveler is the thing that will scratch that itch.
Yeah, and they're also incorporating the role-playing aspects of, you have 8 different characters to choose from. You know, when you pick your character, it tells you what your role is. It says, you are this person, and here is your story, and go about that story.
I've noticed that a lot of developers are taking from older styles of gameplay now. Again, appending like to the couch co-op thing, they're taking from older styles of gameplay now to kind of bring back refreshed gameplay.
They're trying to reinvigorate themselves, because for a while the game industry was kind of in a lull.
Yeah,
until
everybody's
probably
kind of doing the same
until
thing.
a couple years ago.
Battle Royale.
that was something I wanted to comment on.
Battlefield 5.
It's like, 'cause I saw the perfect video describing the whole Battle Royale thing, and I think Battlefield announced that they were having a Royale mode too.
Yeah, Battlefield. They announced Battlefield 5.
It
as
was,
a Royal
it was
mode.
that scene from Rick and Morty where the Meeseeks are all blaming each other. It's like, well, he dragged me into this, he dragged me into this, and he dragged me into this.
Yeah.
And it's just all of them with the faces of these different games with Royale modes. And it feels like an infinite chasm of just...
Chasm.
Chasm. Spasm.
Chasm.
Oh, goodness.
Whatever. I'll just accept that I'm wrong. But it just...
that's part of marriage, honey. Sorry.
Because there was another game that it was just like, we're introducing 400-player battle mode. And I forgot what game it was that was at E3. But it was just like, oh my god, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Was it PUBG? I don't remember, but I wouldn't be surprised.
probably.
I don't think it was PUBG. I think it was one of the sci-fi games.
So I think they can't. I think one of the conferences showed off.
Maybe it was one
Destiny?
of the... Maybe it might have been one of the pirate games. I can't remember.
I don't remember.
Sea of Thieves or something.
I remember there was one game that's kind of like a parody battle royale game. It's like you fire one shot and you get this gigantic knockback that pushes you way back.
Totally realistic battle simulator
Yes.
Royale.
Total
That looks-
accurate battle simulator.
Totally accurate? Okay.
Yeah.
That looks funny.
Yeah. And that's ridiculous. It was a parody and it turned into a game that people actually wanted.
Yep.
But yeah, so going back now to Square Enix, The Quiet Man. It stuck out to me, but that was the biggest game. I'm just like, what is this about?
Yeah. There's another game I will talk about later that's kind of like in the same vein.
It feels like it was something that was like inspired by Heavy Rain and then somehow got the combat system of Batman Arkham.
Interesting.
And that's what it looked like to me.
I'm intrigued.
But it was just kind of like because I think like I'm assuming he has something to where like he can't hear, like he may be deaf or something, and like that's one of the elements to his character. But I'm just like, why is this person in a back alley beating people up for no reason?
Yeah. Okay. Now I remember what you're talking about.
And it's just like it left me with so many questions that I'm just I would like a little bit more so I know what the game is about.
Yeah. It's it hasn't been fairly recently, but there's been sporadic games that I've kind of touched on the sensory deprivation mechanic. Dark Echo, I think we played on that on the channel,
Dark
and that was
Echo,
one of them.
And there was another game that I know we've looked at. It was like about a mouse that like used sign language.
Yeah.
I don't.
That one was a VR one. I think that one's out on Steam. I can't remember what it's called. But
but that game was adorable looking.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we don't have any VR equipment, or else we would probably have played it. But yeah, I mean that's
VR's expensive.
People are using that to create unique experiences, and I was kind of seeing a little bit of that. But again, the teaser for The Quiet Man was so vague, that it was like you don't really know what you're getting.
So it makes about as much sense as was it Death Stranding.
Oh god,
we'll talk about that later when we talk about Sony's conference,
which we probably should go into because I think we're getting close to the hour mark.
Is there really anything else about Square Enix that we wanted to discuss?
Not really.
They really didn't have anything.
Dragon Quest didn't really leave me with any impressions of yay or nay.
It's weird because
it felt Dragon Quest.
I want to be a fan of Dragon Quest, but the only game that I've ever played that I truly love is the 8th one. I adore Dragon Quest VIII, but I've never gotten into any of the other ones. It's just it's weird to me. There was something about 8 that just stuck out to me. But let's move on to Sony's conference. Actually, you know, but before we get to Sony's conference, there's one other thing I want to touch on, because I know that I don't think there was really much from Ubisoft that I think introduced.
There was actually a couple of things from Ubisoft that I wanted to talk about.
Let's go ahead and just touch on Ubisoft real quick. Because there's one thing that Ubisoft did that I really want to talk about, and that is the Starlink Battle for Atlas game. It like when I first saw it, I was like, oh man, this looks really cool. It's like a big space battle kind of game.
Yeah,
the art
that was the
really
one
cool.
I was thinking of earlier.
Yeah. And like the art style looks really cool. The space combat looks really cool. And I was like, I was already intrigued. I just wasn't really like, I was a little bit off put by the whole fact that it's a toy game. And that was the thing that was kind of like holding me back. Although they did say that you can just get one of the toys, the one that comes with the starter pack, and you can just kind of stick with it throughout the whole game and unlock some more stuff.
It's kind of like an amiibo thing where you.
Well, I was saying like that in Disney Infinity or whatever it was, I think, or whatever it was. Is it kind of similar vein to that?
Yeah, but in this one, they're not going to require you to keep buying more toys. You can just stick with the one that you get in the starter pack and just unlock some more stuff in the game. So I think that's fine. And definitely intrigued by the game. And when I first saw it, I was intrigued. But it was after they did the first reveal that they did something that they immediately got my attention, and I immediately wanted the game. And you know exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Star Fox is in the game.
Yeah, Ubisoft and Nintendo have been canoodling for a while.
Like, I was not expecting that, because like they just got done talking about Starlink Battle for Atlas, and then they started up a whole new trailer, and nobody really knew what it was. We saw one of the female characters being chased by a bunch of enemies in space. It looks like she's trying to communicate with somebody over the radio to get help. She's like, I can use some help over here, you know, and the radio is just kind of like cutting out. And then all of a sudden you start hearing the sound effects from the first Star Fox game. It's like, it's so obvious that's what they are. I'm just like, those are Star Fox sound effects. What the hell? Like, did they steal sound effects from Nintendo or something?
Yeah.
And then they cut to another cockpit, and then they showed like the eye with the scouter over the eye. I'm just like, oh no, they didn't. No, they didn't. And then they showed him, and I was just like, you have my fucking attention now.
Yep.
It's just, now I want this game just for the fact that Fox is in it. So I may actually be picking that up, because the game, not only the game looks really cool, but I've been craving a new Star Fox game so bad.
Yeah, and just to clarify for everybody, the Star Fox version, or the Star Fox playable character, is only available on the Switch version.
It's only on the Switch version, naturally.
So if you want to play as Star Fox, you have to get it on the Switch.
But the Switch version, like all versions of the game, come with a starter pack. Like, they come with the starter toy, and the one that the Switch version comes with is Fox McCloud with the R-Wing.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So you can play as Fox McCloud with the R-Wing from beginning to end, and just stick with it. And just kind of upgrade with stuff that's unlocked in the game. And I'm just like, I want this game now. I may actually be picking that up. Like, that game looks sick. And the fact that you can play as Fox, and you know what? When I saw that Star Fox trailer, I was just like, this is what Star Fox needs to be.
Yeah.
Right here.
From what I've seen, I agree.
So I'm hoping Miyamoto's paying attention, because I know he directs the Star Fox games, and he was in the audience when they showed it the first time, and the reaction in the audience was like one of the loudest reactions I've ever seen in an E3 conference. And I'm hoping he may have seen that and went, wow, people really like this kind of Star Fox. Maybe we should make this kind of Star Fox. So I'm actually pretty excited about that. I may be picking that one up just for Star Fox.
Yeah. So moving on, the next game I wanted to talk about with Ubisoft, and I don't want to spend too much time here, is Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Beyond Good and Evil 2.
You've been excited about that one for a while.
Yeah,
whenever I
cool.
first saw the trailer, I was super interested, because there's a pig that was talking and a monkey that just came in and caused a bunch of chaos, and it kind of felt like Wukong the Monkey King and all that kind of stuff. He's just shenanigans in space.
Yeah, talking animals are your threshold,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah. So, but the thing that really stuck out to me, because they haven't really showed anything new from the last time they did a trailer, other than say, you know, kind of what time period it is, because I think it's a prequel to the first game. The Space Monkey program.
Yeah.
And the thing that I'm I'm kind of like, that's cool, but also hesitant because they haven't really shown too much about the game and what the world is and how everything's going to interact with the world. And yet they're sending out this open invitation to artists, creators, musicians, and other things to build content for the game. It's cool if you're really passionate, but it's also like, as a creator, you want to make sure that you're either getting, attribution or credit or compensation for spending the time making this stuff. So it's just like, I don't want to accuse Ubisoft of like trying to like get a bunch of people to free make their game for them, but they haven't really elaborated on how the Space Monkey program works for contributors to like get recognition for their work.
I've read up a little bit more on it after you mentioned it to me, and the Space Monkey program, if I recall correctly, is partnered with an organization called Hit Record. And Hit Record is basically a collaborative market to where artists, all sorts of people, poets, singers, songwriters, all that kind of thing, can put forth their works to be used in collaborative efforts. And when all of those collaborations are put together, whatever is used, all of them split revenue. Okay. I've heard good things about Hit Record. As a designer myself, I have mixed feelings about the entire structure of it.
Yeah, because if you end up contributing a huge bit, if everybody splits it evenly, then...
That's the thing. And from what I understand, and please correct me if I'm wrong on this, I kept thinking I read that they were going to... Space Monkey program was contributing like $2 million or something to it, which, if they're depending on how many number of assets to it, isn't that much.
Yeah.
Spread across quite a few people.
They were looking for like graffiti, street art, billboards, music, canteen songs, all sorts of stuff.
But that being said, these are willing artists, willing creators contributing to this. That is a great opportunity.
Yeah.
As long as they treat it well.
Because then you can say, my stuff was in X game by AAA developer.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they have to treat it carefully.
It is a good chance for some people to get some portfolio pieces.
Yeah. I hope that if there's any future developers, any future plans to implement this in further games, that it is treated with the same level of care and caution.
Yeah.
I do not see, honestly, crowdsourced assets being a future in games. I think it's a great experiment.
It's an experiment,
but I think that money should be contributed more to steady jobs.
Yeah.
As someone who is in that kind of industry and designs for a living, that is where that revenue should be going, in my opinion.
Yeah, I can kind of agree with that.
But that being said, I do appreciate the opportunity of being able to contribute to a larger project and have that as a portfolio piece. That is a really cool opportunity. I just hope they get what they deserve out of their work.
I'm gonna keep up, I'm gonna try and keep some tabs on like how that program is going and seeing how well it actually worked, because there may be aspects to it that we don't know about.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see how that little experiment is going to play out. But moving on, I just wanted to touch real quickly on two more things. First thing. So, Sea of Thieves is a ridiculous pirate game where you can have a lot of fun, but there wasn't a lot of content.
Right.
And I know that they announced like 2 new expansions, so I hope that kind of fixes that. But Ubisoft showed, I think, the same trailer of Skull and Bones that we've seen in the past. Whereas Sea of Thieves lacked in content, Skull and Bones just kind of felt like being a pirate is work.
Yeah.
And I know pirating is not an easy thing, especially back then, but it just, with all the little stuff that you have to keep track of, and
it's like House Flipper but on a pirate boat.
And it's just like a lot of this stuff it's really, really realistic, and I can appreciate that, but it doesn't look fun. It looks tedious.
There's no balance between the two.
Whereas like one is one extreme, the other one is the other extreme. And I just kind of want a middle ground Pirates game, which I feel like there was one of them, but I can't remember what it was
Pirate
called.
Boat Education Simulator.
I feel like that, we're getting the extreme representation of like one side with Skull and Bones and Sea of Thieves. But I feel like at some point we're going to see a developer come out, learn from both those games, and get it right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the pirate venture in games, this widespread pirate venture, I should
Pirates
say,
are popular right now.
they're not only popular, they're still kind of new.
Yeah.
Which
So-
actually, now that I think about it, that kind of makes me think that's probably why they're bringing back Pirates of the Caribbean and Kingdom Hearts 3 is probably because of the pirate craze.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Sea of Thieves really lit a fire that a lot of people are just like, I want to be a pirate again.
Yeah. So,
Well, I mean, if you really think about it, like Sea of Thieves, like kind of lit this big fire of pirate games that people have never really thought about, and now people are thinking, wait, we don't really have any like rock solid, awesome pirate games.
no, there's been attempts before, like with Assassin's Creed Black Flag and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
But they just didn't really have the mechanics to do it right.
Yeah, they didn't resonate as well.
I will
say-
or it wasn't a focus.
I will say that Black Flag was actually really good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But as a pirate game, I definitely think that, you know, we could have better.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, Assassin's Creed is going to be focused on the assassin, when in turn you could have a pirate game focused on pirates
Yeah.
and pirate boats and stuff like that. And I think that's the trend of where it's going, because you gotta think, you can count on probably one hand
Yeah.
how many of those are out there
Yeah.
before this craze hit.
It's kind of the same thing with the current samurai craze too, because we're seeing the same thing happen
Yeah.
with samurais.
Now there was a lot of samurai games before, but it's getting new
But like,
life now.
I felt like the last pirate craze was kind of like the PS2 and early PS3. Mm-hmm. Like there
Yeah, a
wasn't
little
too
bit.
many.
with like Treasure on Monkey Island and that
yeah,
kind of
there
thing.
wasn't too many in between there.
Yeah.
Like they were few and far between.
Yeah, so it's kind of cool to see them coming back. It's just we gotta wait for somebody to just get it right.
Yeah.
So
Moving on from Skull and Bones, the other game from Ubisoft I want to talk about is Mario and Rabbids, because the
Yes!
way that they presented that with a live band, I think it was like Critical Hit was the name of the band.
yes, and it was composed by Grant Kirkhope.
Yeah, composed, and I believe he was the one conducting it.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. He was on stage conducting the music.
Yeah, so Grant Kirkhope is a very, very household name for a lot of gamers. And
Oh, yeah.
whenever it comes to video game music. And the way that they showcased that by actually bringing him there, them performing the music live to the trailer as it played was brilliant.
Yep.
Yes, that was amazing. I loved that.
And I love Donkey Kong and the fact that they're doing a Mario and Rabbids expansion where you don't play as Mario, but the main character is Donkey Kong. I am looking so forward to it, especially since some of the music in the game that I from the trailer,
from Donkey Kong
it was
64.
a remix of Donkey Kong 64.
Yes, I love like the overworld theme is the same overworld theme from Donkey Kong 64. I'm just like, I love it. I have not heard a game have this music since Donkey Kong 64. It's incredible.
Yep. And I have to say this for myself. I did not know that I needed Cranky Kong in rabid form until I saw E3.
Yes. Oh my God.
In the trailer there was Peach Rabbid, and then there was a Cranky Kong Rabbid as a companion. And
Oh
one of
my
his
God.
attacks is he falls asleep and puts all the enemies around him asleep.
By the way, if you guys want to see that game on the channel, I'm sure Bumblure would be more than happy.
I would love to play
Maybe
that
in a
game.
stream form, or if you guys would like to see it on the channel, let us know.
You guys know that Bumblure and I love our Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So we would love to do that. Just anything Donkey Kong related, we will do it.
And I believe that comes June 26th.
Yeah, that comes
So
soon.
that's coming out really soon.
Yeah, because it'll probably already be released by the time this goes out, but it's the 22nd right now that we're recording this, so it's coming very soon for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
All you
we'll see.
future listeners.
So
But that kind of wraps up Ubisoft for me. I didn't know if there was anything else y'all wanted to
I don't
cover.
think there's anything else. So that just leaves Sony and Nintendo. Let's go ahead and talk about Sony first, because I think we have a lot to say about them. I didn't like their presentation.
And Nintendo now.
Well, no.
You're very long-winded.
There was a lot to like about what Sony had to offer with their presentation. It's just the way they presented it. I did not like it. Like I'm sure that it was a very immersive experience for the people actually there. But for the people watching at home like us, it was it was a pain to watch. Like,
wasn't there somebody with a banjo at one point?
And yes, and they spent like 7 to 10 minutes on the banjo guy.
Jeez.
Well, I mean, wasn't he playing like during the trailer for Last of Us 2?
He was just sitting there playing a banjo for like 10 minutes. Then they showed the trailer. I'm not kidding. They spent like 10 minutes with nothing but a guy on a banjo.
Shouldn't that probably have been in Fallout 76?
Yeah,
Country
probably.
roads, take me home,
It wasn't just the banjo either. They also had a flute guy. Same thing.
Hell.
So like, because they had the banjo guy to introduce the trailer for Last of Us Part 2, and they went into the Last of Us Part 2 trailer, and then after that, they had to have an intermission to get everybody moved to another theater, because when they started off, it was in like this old church. And they were doing this because the Last of Us 2 trailer takes place in a church that looks exactly like that. They wanted to create this immersive experience for the people who were there.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
And it's cool, but then they had to have this like 30-minute long intermission to get everybody moved into another theater before we could actually see the next thing. And then what was the first thing we saw when they started re-airing again? It was a guy in a flute for 10 minutes. I was like, what the hell are you doing?
Oh, goodness.
I want to see games.
Yeah, that seems a tad ridiculous.
It's like, I get it. They're trying to do something new and unique, and they were trying to do something that was immersive for the people there. I get it. But for the people at home like us, it was just a pain to watch.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say the banjo guy and the flute guy are bad at what they do. They play their instruments really well, but we didn't need 10 minutes dragging on for each one of them.
That's not necessarily what hardcore video gamers would be. The main group of people that would be going to E3.
Yeah, like if you want to do that, do it during a reveal.
Yeah,
like what they did with Mario and Rabbids.
Exactly. Just about to say that. But
so, that was a pain to watch. So, and plus, like, just the presentations at the whole thing, like we almost never once saw a person walk up on stage to present anything that they were showing. It was almost like people were in theater just watching one long pre-rendered video. And it was like Bethesda did the same thing last year, and that bugs the crap out of me.
Yeah, well, I think Bethesda kind of learned this year.
Yeah. So I didn't like their presentation, but aside from their presentation, I will say the content they provided in terms of the games, it's definitely worth looking at. So they started it off with The Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah, and that
which looks amazing.
That was the main one I wanted to comment on, because I'm not going to lie, like the combat or the takedowns or whatever, like the Ellie fighting people looked so fluid.
It's almost like it's fake.
It was like, it almost looked like they were just pre-rendered because they were too smooth.
Yeah.
I guarantee you it was pre-rendered, and they did the same thing with God of War when they first revealed it.
Yep.
It was all pre-rendered. It was all pre-rendered, and I know this because because we played God of War, you and I in our own time, and if you go back and watch the first reveal trailer after playing the game,
Combat is nothing
the
like
combat looks nothing like it.
Yep.
It was obviously perimeter. Like, I'm not going to say that God of War wasn't a good game. It's a great game. I loved it. But the fact that Sony's so guilty of this. Whenever they do gameplay, they always do this pre-rendered crap, and it drives me insane.
It's not true gameplay at that point.
It's not true gameplay. I want to see the game, and you're not showing it to me. You're showing me something that's pre-rendered.
I want to play the game.
Better.
I don't want to just press one button and then watch everything unfold.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's exactly as you said. The character animations and the combat was way too fluid to be real. And you know what? If the game actually comes out and it is that fluid,
then holy crap!
Yeah.
I will eat my words and I will say, "Well job, Naughty Dog, you killed it, and this is revolutionary."
Well job, Naughty Dog. Well job.
That's how impressed he is. He's combining two compliments.
Well job. Well job.
My point being is that if it actually is like that, congratulations, you revolutionized game mechanics. But I highly doubt that that's the case.
I will say this though. God of War being a good example, the transitions between cutscenes and gameplay have been pretty flawless. What you saw with Part 2 was almost too perfect.
It was way too perfect.
And it could have been just somebody who's very skilled and developed the game that was playing it, so they knew exactly what to do.
Yeah.
That said, the games have been making a transition to make the transition between cutscenes to gameplay a lot more fluid. So it wouldn't surprise me if there's some level of realism to
Yeah,
that.
because
But I think most people will be a lot more chaotic in that execution than what was shown.
A lot of
Yeah.
developers.
I know I will.
I feel like there's a heavy push because Nintendo has the flash drives, or not flash drives,
Well, they have the Nintendo
the
Direct.
SD cards and that kind of stuff, which drastically reduces on load times.
Oh, okay. I thought you were about to like go into the whole like they do the Nintendo Direct like
No. Like, because God of War hid loading screens so well that like when you're transitioning to a different world, you're actually exploring a little inner dimension while everything else is loading up in the background.
That was a smart way to do it.
Yeah, and then the only time you saw a load screen is when you first boot up the game and when you die.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a smart way to do it. And like, you know what? If you never die in that game once, the entirety of the game is just one shot.
Yeah.
There's no cuts. It's kind of like that Birdman film style, like all one shot.
And then
and it's actually really cool.
the A Way Out, the hospital scene. The way that the escape
That
from
was
there
smooth.
is so beautiful, how it transitions from one character to the other without cutting.
Yeah. It's cinematic brilliance.
It's just
Yeah,
Perfect.
It is definitely cinematic brilliance. But I will say that, you know, as beautiful as that cinematic brilliance was in Last of Us Part 2's reveal, I want to see a game.
yeah,
And that did not look to me like a game.
it was too perfect.
It was too, and it wasn't just The Last of Us Part 2. That was like every single gameplay demo that they showed.
I think the only one like Fallout 76 was just kind of like, oh, hey, here's a guy.
Yeah.
That was the only one that I saw where they actually kind of showed some realism to it. You know,
Yeah,
the
exactly.
execution.
So, but I know that I know Wade is extremely excited for Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah.
I'm sure he would have a lot to say about it if he was here, but I know you are pretty excited about it too.
I'm interested to see where the story goes. I know they gave kind of a hint about Ellie kind of developing more into a woman, and
Yeah, and they're definitely hinting at a romantic story in there too.
yeah. So I think that's definitely going to be an integral part of her development overall. Just because now she is going to be seen as a woman. I'm curious to see where what's his name went though. The dude
Yeah,
bro.
because didn't he live at the end of the first
Yeah.
game?
Yeah.
So I'm kind of curious to where he went, where she just dumped him
What was
off
his
somewhere.
name? Joel?
Joel. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
Joel.
kind of
Yeah.
curious to see where Joel is in all of this. I'm hoping that it's not just simple as, oh, well, he died suddenly. You know what I mean? Because that's going to be really piss poor.
Do you remember
gameplay.
how many times he got bit in the game?
Well, fair point. But I'm hoping it's not some little cop-out thing like that, that they, if they're going to minimize his participation, that they treat the story well enough to give him a proper send-off.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like they want to focus on Ellie for obvious reasons. I think it's a good character to focus on. It's kind of similar to Clementine. They breathe
Yeah.
sing
And I
to
was
her.
just about to make the comparison. It's just like if you like the way they wrote out Kenny in the last game that just came out, just kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
they really didn't represent him well.
Yeah, but it does vary depending on which path you take and what you
Yeah.
see. But
it's just
I'm
like
just hoping
that person, that mentor, like one of the people that was like helping this person grow and learn, and then they just kill him off like that.
Yeah.
It's just
I'm just hoping that they treat that
Mm.
gingerly and that he does have some sort of participation in that story, even
Yeah.
if it does end up being his death or
Yeah.
his send-off in some way, that they pay credence to that previous previous chapter.
They need to approach that. Like, I understand they want to focus a lot more on Ellie now, which is a good move. But at the same time, in the first game, Joel was a very hard focus for the story.
Yeah.
And they have to make sure that they approach him with caution.
Yeah.
To make sure that they give him a proper send off
Yeah.
if they're going to, kill him off or something.
And with how intricate that story was in the first one, I think there will be no issues with that.
Yeah, he
I'm
probably
just curious to
just
see what happened to him.
he probably just retired.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm done.
I'm done with the
kill zombies
post-apocalypse.
anymore.
I'm done with the post-apocalypse. I'm going to Hawaii with a margarita and a beach.
And I'm going to get eaten by zombies there.
Yeah.
But
It's beach zombies, so it's going to be enjoyable. So
Just what we need: zombies in bikinis.
oh,
Dead Island
no.
did that.
Really?
Oh, yeah,
think
Dead
so.
Island did do that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So,
The only thing
probably
Dead
Dead Rising probably did it too.
The only thing, it's funny, the only thing Dead Island is really remembered for is that incredible first trailer that they did for it.
Yeah.
Because that actually was like a really well done trailer.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's moving on from Last of Us Part 2. I think
Was there anything else from Sony? Because that was the only thing that really stuck out.
Oh yeah,
to
no,
me.
there was more. The next thing that they showed was Ghost of Tsushima after the fucking half-hour long intermission bullshit. That was stupid. But
Flute guy! Come flute guy! Brr.
yeah,
Ding, 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 ding,
it
ding.
also sounded like they had some technical issues, which was also kind of funny. Actually, real quick, I wanted to say the technical issues have been a common thing at this year's E3, not just Sony, but Ubisoft. Did you guys happen to catch Ubisoft's conference at all?
Yes.
I didn't.
Did you notice that there were a couple of moments where when the person on stage walked backstage, their mic was still on?
Yeah. That happened during the Mario and Rabbids portion. I was
Walk
wearing.
back there and you just hear a guy go, "Nailed it!"
Yeah. Oh, it was beautiful because I listened to it through speakers and I didn't hear it. But then whenever I went back and rewatched it with headphones, I'm just like, what the hell? Do I have something open in the background?
Sony had the same problem. If you watch the little interviews they're doing in between intermissions, you'll hear this guy speaking a different language on a loud microphone out of nowhere. It's like, what the hell?
Awesome.
But the one with Ubisoft, when the guy walked backstage after Mario and Rabbids, was the funniest to me. You just walk back there and out of nowhere you just hear this guy go, "Nailed it!" It's just what the fuck. Anyway, let's move on. Ghost of Tsushima is the next one that Sony showed off. Which
that felt like a more traditional samurai game.
that one actually looks really good. I'm interested in that one. That one looks more kind of like they're doing kind of like the Witcher 3 style game, but in Japan.
Yeah, because like I said, the combat looked a lot more realistic and true to what it originally was.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, The Witcher, they wanted to keep that realism despite having the fantasy creatures and stuff. So that was one of the things that made it stand out. Is that you still had to go and get all of these silver weapons for werewolves and other things.
Yeah, and Ghost of Tsushima is being developed by Sucker Punch Games, which they have a good track record. They made the Infamous games.
Mm-hmm.
So they do have a good track record. So, a lot of people are confident that the game will be good.
So I'm curious because I would really like them to try and keep the combat as real as possible.
Yeah.
Because there was I can't remember if it was Kengo or there was some other game that was really well known for how realistic the sword fighting combat was.
Bayonetta.
No.
But if they took elements from that and used that as kind of a reference to build the combat in the game, I think that would be really cool.
Mm-hmm. Plus, it's kind of cool to see kind of I like this idea of an open world game, an open world RPG action game that takes place in ancient Japan, and you play as a samurai.
Mm-hmm.
That's just cool to me. And the combat's very similar to Witcher. I'm not gonna lie, I might actually be picking this one up. I'm actually really intrigued with this idea. I'm probably gonna approach it with caution. I may not be getting it day one.
So I want to hear more about it first.
Yeah, I want to hear more about it, but I'm definitely interested.
I'm curious to see how they approach it in terms of quote unquote accuracy, because I know Battlefield kind of got nailed with those kinds of issues.
It's Battlefield. It doesn't have to be accurate.
Well, but that's kind of a common thing that's popping up where if you're going to be representing, World War II, that kind of thing, that people are going, well, this needs to be accurate. Do your research.
Yeah.
And if you don't, we're going to nail you for it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of curious to see.
It's also one of those things is I can see where you want the realism to be as immersive as possible. But whenever you start slapping people on the wrist because they use bird calls from a species that's not indigenous to the area, I'm just I don't care. It's just birds.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure the tank I'm shooting is accurate.
As long as it's not bellowing chimps in the background, we're okay.
Plus,
And even then, maybe.
I will comment that the demo they showed for Ghost of Tsushima definitely had the kind of same problem that we were talking about earlier with Last of Us 2, which was the animations looked way too fluid. Like I feel like at least some of that was pre-rendered. So again, Sony's really guilty of this. They do it all the time, but I'm still interested. The game like does look really good, and I'm definitely interested to see more about it.
Yeah.
But I don't think I'm going to be getting it day one, but I'm definitely interested to see more.
I'm sure there's
about
going to be more information as we get closer to a release date.
Yeah. So, and moving on, they also announced a remake of Resident Evil 2.
Interesting.
So, like, it's not just a remaster or anything. It's like a full from the ground up remake of Resident Evil 2.
So I never played the Resident Evil. Like I can't remember what. I've only played one Resident Evil game, and I think it was one of the more modern ones with I think Chris.
I don't know.
Resident Evil 5, I think, is the one you might.
Yeah.
Resident Evil 5 is the most that's the modern one that most people have played.
Because the old school Resident Evils, they had kind of the tank tread controls.
Yeah, I've never really played much of Resident Evil. I have played one Resident Evil game, and that was Resident Evil 4, and I really loved it. Resident Evil 4 is a fantastic game. I haven't played any like of the remasters or anything or the remakes, but I do know that I played the Wii version, and the Wii version incorporated motion controls, and it actually felt really good.
Okay.
I can see where motion controls could be aided with the Resident Evil controls.
And you know what? If you're playing Resident Evil 4 for the first time right now, going back and playing with a regular controller, the controls feel actually kind of outdated.
Does it stay with the fixed camera idea in the later ones?
Well, with the remake, are you talking about Resident Evil 4?
Yeah, like with the later installments of Resident Evil, does it stay fixed camera?
I know
or
5
do they...
wasn't.
Oh no! Like you're talking about the earlier games where like you stay, it's one camera angle, and
I absolutely despise that.
No, they got rid of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Resident Evil 4 was the first game where they got rid of that.
Okay, then I'm open to playing the latter ones then, but I could
Resident
not
Evil
stand
4 with Resident Evil 4 they went with the over the shoulder kind of shooter concept.
Okay.
Yeah.
That I can live with.
And they've been doing the same thing ever since, with the exception of 7. 7 went back to the series, like more to the series roots in terms of horror, but they went first person with it and focused more on survival horror rather than killing.
But that was because they're also developing that one for VR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I still haven't played 7. I have to play it. I'm really interested in trying it.
I've seen a lot of gameplay for it, and I really like the direction of it.
Yeah, but they're doing a full remake of Resident Evil 2, and the remake's going to be like very much in the style of the over the shoulder kind of Resident Evil 4 and 5 kind of shooter. Is what it's going to be, which I think that's a really smart way to do it, because if they tried to do the fixed camera thing that they did with 1 through 3, I don't think it would work.
It's clunky. It's it's so clunky.
It was great for its time. It's just that
exactly.
it was great for its time. It was revolutionary for its time, but in today's modern age, that would just not work.
Yeah.
So, pretty cool idea. I'd be interested to see more about it. But moving on from Resident Evil 2 remake, the one that everybody was waiting for, Death Stranding.
I'm still confused as hell at what that game is.
Yeah,
everybody is.
I'm just gonna go ahead and say I have zero interest in it, literally zero. And like, because here's the problem I have with the way they're trying to push that game is that everybody is super stoked about it for one reason and one reason alone. It's Hideo Kojima's game.
Yeah,
that's the only reason people are hyped up about it. And I'm going to go ahead and say I did not grow up on Hideo Kojima's games. I've only played one of his games, and it was Metal Gear Solid 5. That is the only game.
Way different than his earlier games.
Exactly. And that is the only game that he's ever made that I've ever played. So I don't have any kind of attachment to him in terms of, him being a developer that I can't call myself a fan of him.
Yeah.
I respect him for his accomplishments, but I can't consider myself a fan of him because I haven't experienced his games for myself, with the exception of one. So I can't be sold on this game solely off of the Kojima name. I need to see more.
Wasn't there another person developing it that was really a big name too?
Yeah, Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah,
he's also part of it.
And that's why I'm thinking it's going to turn into more of a cinematic experience than it is going to be like a full-fledged game experience. Because that's what it's coming off as.
That's what it's coming off as, because at this E3 conference was the first time they have ever shown anything relatable to gameplay, because everything they've shown up to this point, it was just cinematic trailer after cinematic trailer after cinematic trailer, and I was just like, enough cinematic trailers. What is the fucking game about?
Yeah.
And they finally showed some gameplay this time, and it was just walking.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and
the
I
hell?
will say that Hideo Kojima is, a lot of his games are notorious for having really long cutscenes.
Yeah.
Because there was, I believe it was Metal Gear Solid 4, somebody took, every time somebody said the word nanomachines, and it was a 14-minute video of just people saying the word nanomachines. And so that just is a small precursor that there's going to be a lot of like
Nanomachines?
nanomachines. There's going to be a lot of like talking and stuff in that game, just because that's the thing that he always delves into is the characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm
And
hoping
with the filmmaker on top of that, even more
it's
so.
going to be a very beautiful and carefully executed game. But in terms of gameplay, it might be lacking, because again, it's kind of like it would probably be something along the lines of like Heavy Rain or Detroit Become Human, to where it's more the story and the environment and other things are bigger than
I can see
actually you like interacting with things where it's very simple button commands.
Right.
I can see that. I think that is exactly the direction that Death Stranding is going, and it's going to be a very narrative experience. Which, for people who love that kind of like story-driven narrative experience, I can understand people being excited about it, especially with Hideo Kojima behind the helm.
Yeah.
For me personally, as a person who puts story second to gameplay experience, it's not something that can sell me on this game. It's really not.
I put story before pretty much anything in terms of the media I consume, but I still can't get on board with creepy space babies with Daryl Dixon. I'm sorry. There's nothing there that really appeals to me, because I've looked at the graphics and stuff like that, and
It's a beautiful game.
It's beautiful, but it's also like, okay.
So-
You're not showing me anything.
And I will say, with the whole controversy that happened between Konami and Kojima, I feel like I congratulate Kojima with settling down with Sony and making a new studio there, because I feel like Kojima belongs with Sony at this point.
Kojima was able to make a name for himself despite being a part of Konami.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm glad that he is now, with Sony. I feel like Sony is the platform where he belongs, so that he can actually pursue what he wants to do, and that's a great thing. But I can't get on board with Death Stranding right now, because I'm not seeing enough that's really getting me intrigued with it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a beautiful game, that's for sure, and that much I admire it for.
Death Stranding for me is kind of like what Mighty Number 9 was for Mega Man.
I don't know if it's at that level.
Well,
but I can understand where you're
I'm
coming
not.
from.
I'm not trying to say that. What it is it's the person, like, they created a series and they made a name for themselves, but now we're going to see if it was actually the founder of the series or if it was the people that supported him making that game, even though he was the head, that really made them great.
Yeah. So we're gonna see. We're gonna see if Death Stranding is gonna be as amazing as everybody's hyping it up to be. Because so far I'm not sold.
I'm just confused.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm confused too, but like I'm trying to look for a reason to look forward to this game, and I don't have one. I have no interest.
Maybe
in
there will be more in the future, but
yeah. So here's hoping.
But moving on.
The only other thing I can think of off the top of my head that Sony showed off was the Spider-Man game.
That's going to be interesting, because I think they're touting it to be more of an open world experience, which you don't see a lot in superhero
That's
games.
something that I think actually really fits Spider-Man, because he's supposed to be your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. So being able to fully explore your neighborhood makes sense, because that's what he did. Is he just he didn't really like seek out crime. He just kind of happened upon it and then intervened.
Yeah, and this is definitely looking like a really good game. I'm definitely intrigued.
But the way that the swinging mechanic looks fluid, so you can navigate the world pretty easily. The combat looks pretty good. Kind of like, I think somebody said it's like a revamp of the Arkham engine for combat.
Okay.
Which I can see
Which
working for
Which
it.
works
Yeah.
with him because he has the Spidey sense.
Yeah, and that
Yeah.
was really good. So.
But like, there was something else I heard that like you can't kill people in that game because Spider-Man doesn't kill. If you throw somebody off the roof, he'll actually web them and save them. So like if you intentionally try and kill people, the game actually will, like, Spider-Man himself will intervene and prevent you from like killing somebody outright.
Huh.
That would be an interesting mechanic.
And that's why I was just like, that's interesting, and it's very true to the character. But it's also just kind of like, how dare you ruin it?
Well, that's kind of a hindrance to any kind of story then, because I mean, that's going to really take a toll on the story then that they put behind it, because that's a kind of a hindrance to any kind of finality.
Yeah.
To it. So,
But I mean, that's what Spider-Man did. Is he always apprehended the villain, except for that one time when he shot Sandman with acid web shot, and everybody thought he just straight up melted Sandman. But that's a different story. But it's just like little things like that stay truer to the character. That I think it's interesting, but I'm curious to see how it will play out in the game, and like you said, in the story.
Yeah.
Yeah, Spider-Man definitely looks really intriguing, and I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on that. That said, I'm still not sold on picking it up just yet. I need to see more of it. And plus, there's also just that kind of stigma of it's a superhero video game, which, usually those don't bode well. Now, I know Sony's putting a lot behind this game, and that's a great thing. So that definitely bodes well that, this could actually be a high-quality superhero game that we could actually really get behind, kind of like the Batman Arkham games. But I just have to see more. I'm going towards it with caution.
The biggest thing for me is that we've seen all of these beautiful pre-rendered cutscenes, and I'm just like, I really hope this doesn't turn into a button command reaction thing.
Yeah.
I saw more. You know what? Like after the conference was over, because I get where you're coming from. Because again, I feel like the gameplay that they were showing off from that game was very much pre-rendered. That being said, after the conference actually ended, because Spider-Man was the last thing they showed. After it ended, they actually did show some actual gameplay of Spider-Man, which it didn't look like the pre-rendered stuff. It looked a little different.
Okay.
But I was actually kind of liking what I was seeing. It actually looked very open. It looked very it looked like there were a lot of options available. I could see this being a game that could be really fun to play.
The thing that would really make me happy, though, is if there was a dedicated button in cutscenes to where at any point in time you could just web somebody's mouth shut.
That'd be amazing.
Just yell Sean. Sean! Just through his mask.
But was there anything else from Sony's conference you guys
Not that
I don't
know
think
of.
so. That's probably wraps up.
That wraps up Sony.
Yeah,
so that just leaves Nintendo.
Ah, that's right, Nintendo.
Yeah, there was a PC gaming show, but I didn't see a conference or anything for it. I think it was more just
gaming show
exhibition.
That was more hardware software, wasn't it?
The PC gaming show is like they don't usually have any like big announcements or anything. It's like I never really tune into it, even though
I looked on YouTube.
PC.
I couldn't find any conference or like videos.
No,
or anything
they don't.
on it.
They don't have conferences. It's just kind of like, hey, this is a PC gaming show where we do random things and we talk about random things and we show off some random things. It's not really anything that is important. No, like not too many people really watch it.
Okay.
So moving on to Nintendo's press conference, that was the last one that came out. I think overall Nintendo's showing was good. I just feel like 2/3 of it was Smash.
Yeah.
And I feel like that they put a little bit too much time into Smash. They didn't really have very much other than Smash.
Yeah, and to be honest, I think last year they kind of just blew everything that they had with Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Whereas this year they're kind of taking it easy, and then next year they'll come back with some bigger stuff.
Not to mention they had some mind-blowing announcements last year. Like they announced Metroid Prime 4, which that was a huge mindfuck for a lot of people.
And I have a feeling next year's E3, that'll be their big game.
Yeah, so because I think this year was kind of like, it was a little bit more of a strategy where they similar strategy to their E3 in 2016, where the only thing they brought was Breath of the Wild and nothing else.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what they did. And I will say, I'm extremely excited for Smash Brothers. I
But
cannot wait for this game.
It also kind of felt like Nintendo didn't, because they went last, they didn't really have a lot left to show because so many other developers had stuff from Nintendo.
Yeah.
Again,
It's
it's kind
funny.
of disorganized.
It's
It
just
it was
It's a
Nintendo-
weird.
little bit disorganized. yeah.
Nintendo's just kind of like getting their feelers out into every other company.
So, but before we jump into Smash Brothers, because that was like it was 2/3 of their conference, but it was also the latter half. So let's talk about the other stuff they had beforehand, which they're bringing back a new Mario Party, which they're going back to the original mechanics of Mario Party.
Good.
They're getting rid of the stupid car. Finally.
Everybody hated that car.
So just for the fact that they're going back to the basics with Mario Party, with Super Mario Party, makes me interested in this one. Because I do love Mario Party games. It's just I hate the directions that they've been going into.
Yeah.
You know, I just
It feels like it should be a board game.
yeah, and that's
Yeah.
it. That's exactly what Mario Party has always been, a board game with mini games in between. You know, and you're collecting coins, you're collecting stars, and that's what it looks to me like they're trying to go back to. And I'm glad they're doing that. And plus, they're incorporating some cool features where you can have like 2 Nintendo Switches and kind of expand the mini games further across 2 screens, which that's actually kind of a cool feature.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah, that actually is kind of a neat feature. I would actually like maybe you and I could try that out if we end up getting it. But I'm liking the look of Super Mario Party. I'm glad that they're going back to the basics and they're getting rid of that fucking car. Nobody likes the car. So moving on, they touched a little bit on Octopath Traveler. Wasn't really much to be said there.
Yeah, they didn't really show much different than what the other one did.
Yeah, they didn't really show much there. They touched a little bit on Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, which I will say I'm actually quite excited for. I'm actually a little bit excited for the Let's
It
Go
looks
games.
adorable, and it's different than the traditional Pokemon experience. And to be honest, it kind of feels like an evolution of what was it? Hey You Pikachu on the
Yeah.
N64, where you had the microphone and you were yelling into this controller
A little bit.
at Pikachu,
I remember
who's
that.
not
Yeah.
paying attention.
I remember. I loved that game when I was young. But I will say that there's a lot of Pokemon fans out there who were really disappointed by this. Because Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee is mainly kind of the midway point between the next generation of Pokemon and Sun and Moon, which the Pokemon company Game Freak has already confirmed that the next generation Pokemon game, the real next Pokemon game, is next year.
Yeah.
Whereas Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee is kind of a way to hold people over. But I think that there's more of a brilliance to Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, which is they're trying to merge their fan bases, because Pokemon is divided up into 2 fan bases, if you really think about it. You have the core Pokemon fans that have been following Pokemon ever since the beginning, and they're still following it. And you have the Gen 1ers, which only know Gen 1, maybe Gen 2, which is the category that I'm in. So what Nintendo's trying to do is they're trying to combine those fan bases into one. They're trying to get the Gen 1ers back into more modern Pokemon games, and they started it with Pokemon Go. Because remember when Pokemon Go started off, it was originally just the original 151.
Yeah.
Right.
And they started adding more gens along the way. And Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee is kind of a somewhat remake of Pokemon Yellow, where you're in the Kanto region and it's just the 151 original Pokemon, and it ties together with Pokemon Go. So they're basically saying, "Hey, Gen 1ers, here's a game for you."
Yeah.
And they're going to keep Gen 1ers busy with these games, and then next year they're going to come out swinging and say, "Hey, Gen 1ers, did you like that Pokemon game? Here's the big next gen Pokemon game."
It's like the Elder Scrolls Blades for Pokemon.
Exactly. I think
because I don't even think there's combat. I think you just pretty much chunk an infinite amount of Pokeballs until something decides to stay captured.
well,
That sounds like fun.
Well, there is combat. It's just not with wild Pokemon. So, like, when you encounter a wild Pokemon, I think this is how it works. When you encounter a wild Pokemon, you just throw the Pokeball at them with the motion controls, but you still have the regular trainer battles.
Oh, okay.
So, I like the idea. I think that's cool. And
I'd be curious to get more information on how that would work, because if there weren't battles, I'd just kind of be like, or if everything's automated, it's just kind of
yeah, but I one thing that I do like though is the integration with Pokemon Go, because I haven't really played much of Pokemon Go, but the fact that you can transfer your Pokemon Go Pokemon into Let's Go is awesome because I know I'm probably not going to really pick up Pokemon Go that much anymore. I can just transfer all the Pokemon that I have on Go into Let's Go and use them there.
Yeah.
And that's a really cool idea. I like that.
'Cause I'm curious how like they're going to handle like power and levels and all that stuff. So it's just there's a lot of things that we're going to have to do to make things work smoothly.
Yeah, and they're going to have to balance it somehow to make it fluid, to make sure nobody's overpowered.
Right.
But I'm definitely very interested in the idea. The only problem I have with this game, though, is the motion controls are not optional. They are required. So, yeah, that's one thing that I am very iffy about.
No, if you have the choice to give your players an option, always give them the option.
Yeah, I get what they're doing. They want to incorporate the idea, like, you know, they want to kind of create this feeling of you're actually throwing a Pokeball kind of thing. You know what I mean? And it's a cool idea, but at the same time, it kind of goes against the entire selling point of the Switch, which is take the game on the go and play it anywhere, which you can still technically do.
But you look like a jackass out in public doing it.
I'm gonna be on the middle of public transportation, just swinging my Switch around willy nilly.
Yep.
I mean, well, like, because the way they're doing it is that they're incorporating the Joy-Cons. You hold the Joy-Con in each hand, and you use it to throw the Pokeball, but you can still control your character with the regular buttons and battle with the regular buttons. But when you're like throwing a Pokeball, you have to actually do the motion.
Yeah, but I mean, by that logic, if you're thinking kind of like VR, I mean, you could just kind of like inch up right into the face of the Pokemon and just boop them with the Pokeball.
Yeah.
No,
So,
who's holding the screen at that point?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. If you're
just,
like on the
you can
go,
have two controllers all you want, but you can't. I mean, you have some manservant holding this screen in front of you. We'll get an android from CyberLife to come and carry the screen for you.
You've just got like a little hook and you just hang it off the back of people's collars that are just walking the same way as you.
Or you just have a hat that has an extended rod to hang it off of. So you just are always following your screen.
Yeah, that's dangerous.
Yeah, there's
Well,
one.
you can hang a carrot from it for healthy exercise. But,
Yeah,
but
there
you
you
know.
go. There was one idea that they're incorporating into the Pokemon Let's Go games that I actually think is kind of cool because they have that Pokeball accessory, and you can use the Pokeball accessory as your only controller throughout the whole game, and you can also like keep certain Pokemon that you've captured in that Pokeball, so that way even when you're not playing the game, you can kind of like, you know, play around with the Pokeball, and the sound effects from the Pokemon that's in there will come out of the Pokeball. So like,
Be like, hey, stop shaking my house.
yeah. So I kind of think that's kind of a cool little idea.
That's cool, but like, do
Yeah.
you have to actually throw the controller to throw a Pokeball? Because
Well,
again,
Well, you do the motion of it.
oh,
yeah,
okay.
the Pokeball accessory is not at all required to play the game, but
So,
it's,
I mean,
it's kind of like a cool little optional
I
accessory.
want to do like the anime style Ash Ketchum thing where like I'm winding up like a baseball pitcher.
You have
I'm
to turn your hat the other way.
Yeah,
now.
I'm
Like,
sticking my legs
Pikachu, I choose you.
straight up in the air and I'm hurling that thing at 120 miles an hour.
Yes.
Now, it'll probably have a very delicate wrist strap to put on.
Oh yeah, no, the Pokeball.
Because you know people are going to get thwopped upside the head with
Just
that
put it
thing.
on like a little bungee cable.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Pokeball accessory actually does come with that.
Yeah, I figured. Because
Yeah.
you know people are going to get thwopped upside the head with that damn thing.
Oh yeah, you know it. So, but
I love it.
I already have a copy of that game pre-ordered because I'm actually pretty excited. Which you know I'm getting the EV version. I
yeah.
fucking love. There's one major problem I have with these games though, like not more than this, the motion controls, is that you know your starter Pokemon is based on which version you get. If you get the Pikachu version, you start with Pikachu. If you get the Eevee version, you start with Eevee. You cannot evolve your starter Pokemon,
That's stupid.
which completely kills the point of Eevee.
Yeah.
It completely kills the point of Eevee because Eevee is a normal type, and his entire gimmick is that you can evolve him into any other type almost, and he is like one of the most powerful of that type. That's his entire gimmick. And if you don't evolve him, he's just a normal type, and normal type isn't strong against anything.
They want to make it where it stays cute.
I mean, yeah,
It's like
of
keeping a
course.
puppy, you know?
Yeah.
They want
Yeah,
it to
because
stay cute.
that's obvious from the fact that in these games you can dress up your starter Pokemon.
Yeah.
So
So it's like a Pikugachi.
But still, it makes me wonder, like, I hope that they do something to balance out your starter Pokemon to be stronger than they would be in the original games, because Eevee staying as a normal type is not really like, if we were playing Fire Red right now and we just stuck with Eevee, never evolving Eevee, he would not be a very strong Pokemon.
I think your expectations of this game probably are a little high, considering you're not really the core audience for it.
Yeah.
I think what they're going to announce next year is going to be up your alley.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
I think what this is for little kids to take care of Pokemon.
This is more like Animal Crossing Pokemon.
Yeah, this sounds more like little kids taking care of Pokemon. It's a Tamagotchi, but with Pokemon. Yeah, I mean, that's what it sounds like to me.
It's a full-length Pokemon game. They're just adding a whole bunch of different gimmicks to it to make it more special.
I will say this, because I remember from the original Pokemon Yellow that the starting Pokemon Pikachu, he did have better stats than just a wild Pikachu.
That is true. That is true. So I think what they're probably going to do is that the starter Pikachu and starter Eevee are just going to have better stats.
Yeah, and then they have an expanded range of like moves they could learn if they have moves even.
Which makes sense, especially for Eevee, because Eevee's a normal type, and normal type is not strong against anything. There's literally nothing that's weak to normal type, so they have to buff up his stats to make him a liable Pokemon in that game.
Yep.
So... But moving on from Pokemon, we've actually spent quite a bit of time on Pokemon.
We spent quite a bit of time on this podcast, to be fair. So let's wrap it up with Super Smash Brothers.
Yeah, because there wasn't really much else to talk about.
Let me smash.
Yes, Nintendo, let me smash. Okay, so I'm really excited about Smash Brothers. It's probably one of my most anticipated games of the year at this point, because it is like the most ambitious crossover we've ever seen. They are bringing back every single character in Smash Brothers series history and then some.
Can't play Waluigi.
Well, everybody.
Poor Waluigi.
Waluigi, that sucks.
Waluigi's technically in the game. He's just not a playable character.
I don't care. He should be. He should be.
So, but they're bringing back every single character, including Snake, which everybody have been wanting back.
Yep.
They're bringing back all the third-party characters, which this is making it the most ambitious crossover game ever.
The only thing this is the one thing I've always hated about the Smash games, even since the first game, is I believe they call them Echo Fighters.
Yeah, Echo Fighters.
I am not a fan of Echo Fighters. I want all of my fighters to feel unique and different and original.
I can understand that,
but with so many characters, I can understand why they do that. But it's just like, if you're gonna do that, do it like an alternate costume, like Daisy and Toadstool and that kind of stuff.
I like how they did it this time around, because in Smash Brothers Ultimate, which is the name of the new Smash, they did add a new Echo Fighter, but they didn't make it like this big reveal or anything. They were just like, "Hey, we're adding a new Echo Fighter. It's Daisy. She fights like Peach. Moving on."
Yeah.
They didn't spend too much time on it. It's just like, hey, here's another clone character. Nothing really much to say about it.
They were pretty much clones from the beginning.
Yeah.
Right.
But then you get somebody like Mewtwo and Lucario.
Yeah, they're basically clones of each other.
Which they shouldn't be.
Yeah, I can agree. Which they're trying to make characters feel more unique in certain ways, even if they were originally clones. Like Ganondorf is a good example. They're actually making him a much more unique character, because ever since he was introduced in Melee, he's always been just basically a clone of Captain Falcon.
Yeah.
But now in Ultimate, they're actually making him a more unique character to play as. Like, they're giving him his sword back, finally. And he actually had, like, his moveset is more centered around using that sword now. And it's awesome.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And they're also reverting his design back to his original Ocarina of Time design, which that is a smart move. Because people love his Ocarina of Time design way more than his Twilight design. His Twilight design is cool, but his Ocarina design is way cooler.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people are glad they're bringing that back.
I just want the pig form.
Well, actually, that's his final Smash.
Yeah, I know, but I just want like Pig Ganon from the NES, either as an assist trophy or as an alternate like form.
Yeah,
that you could fight with. It'd just be ridiculous.
Also, when Smash Brothers Ultimate comes out, I want us to play that on the channel, because when we previously played the Wii U version a couple years back, there was one thing I don't think we did that I really wish we should have, that we need to do, and it's 8-player Smash.
Oh God.
8 players.
Where are we going to get the other 4?
No,
Yeah.
Are we each going to have
computer players?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just computer players. Set them all to max level.
I thought we were all going to. Well, good lord! I thought we were each going to have 2 controllers.
Each person plays 2 characters.
Oh God, that would be actually kind of fun.
Yeah, that would be
Be really hard.
But
Yeah.
8 player Smash, like I've tried it before, and it is so chaotic and fun.
Yeah.
Like we have to do that. That would
Those
be
stages
fun.
are not meant for that many characters.
So-
Yeah.
Yeah, and it just gets so chaotic and so fun. Just 8 player Smash, all the computer players max level, all items on. That would be amazing time, man. We got to do that.
Yeah.
So,
But,
Smash Brothers looks really cool. I'm glad they're bringing back every single character because a lot of
I'm assuming by proxy they're bringing back like all of the stages too.
every stage in the series history, every stage,
God.
every song,
That's gonna be a
every
big
character.
Those menus are going to get complicated real quick.
Smash Brothers Ultimate, again, that they are advertising this as the most ambitious crossover game in gaming history, which I see that.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the fucking list of franchises that are involved in this game. It is ginormous.
Yeah.
You got Final Fantasy, you got Mario, you got Zelda, you got Pokemon, you got Metroid, you got Metal Gear, you got
Sonic
the Hedgehog, like
Pikmin,
Pikmin, what else?
Game & Watch. If you can even call that a series.
It's a series. Kirby, like there's oh god.
What
there's
was
so much.
Fire Emblem?
Fire Emblem? Oh, Fire Emblem has a lot of
Isn't
representation.
Bayonetta also a new one?
Yes.
Bayonetta is also in it.
Yeah. Punch Out is another one.
Yep, Little Matt. And there's a lot of representation in this game. Like, it is definitely the most ambitious crossover. Like, I posted something funny on my social media. I was just like, Marvel's all like, Infinity War is the most ambitious crossover of the year. Nintendo's just like, hold my beer, bitch. It's like, well, Nintendo, like, Infinity War, as awesome as it was, Nintendo wins in the crossover department. They got a bigger crossover going on.
That's
here.
a lot of stuff.
So props to them because you gotta admit, like, it could not have been easy to retrain every single fucking character.
Yeah. But
Considering
now,
that they had so many third-party characters.
just at this point, like, what are they going to do for DLC characters? Like, they're going to freaking bring in Mortal Kombat or something.
Well, with how closely Microsoft is working with Nintendo right now, I wouldn't be surprised to see, like, Banjo-Kazooie in there.
Oh my god, I totally want Smash Brother fatalities now.
Oh, man. I feel like they might reveal one more character, though, because because Sakurai, the director of the series, he said that, with them bringing back every character in the series, they, don't expect too many new characters. But I would like to see them add one more new character, because so far they're adding 3 new characters. One of them's an Echo Fighter, which is Daisy. They didn't spend too much time on her. But they're adding 2 more unique characters, which, of course, the Inklings, that was already revealed earlier this year. But then their last one that they revealed in the conference was a big one, Ridley from Metroid.
Yeah, I have mixed feelings on that.
I have mixed feelings about that too, because I was definitely in the camp of people saying Ridley's too fucking big. I was definitely in that camp.
Yeah.
I don't care. I want to play as a fire-breathing dragon.
I can see that, but I understand where Sakurai was coming from. He's just like, look, a big part of Ridley's menacing character is his size.
Yep.
Incorporating Ridley into Smash Brothers is kind of like trying to incorporate Alduin from Skyrim. It's like, how do you make that work without shrinking him down like a ton?
Elder Scrolls Smash Brothers confirmed.
That'd be amazing.
Battle Royale.
But they did it, and what they did was they shrunk him down, and
I would
somehow
imagine...
in a weird way, when I was watching Ridley on screen, I was like, this kind of works in a weird way.
It's like, I could see him, like, he'd be about probably the size of, like, Bowser.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what they did. They made him the size of Bowser. The problem is it's just that Bowser's size isn't canonical. His size is all over But then again, it's also canon that Bowser has the ability to change his size at will. Mm-hmm. So, with them scaling him down, it makes sense. It's just that Ridley, his size is a big part of his character.
This is a baby Ridley.
Yeah. So this
is Ridley before he grew up.
So that's why I was definitely in the camp of Ridley's definitely too big, but they decided to scale him down and incorporate him. And in a weird way, when I was watching the gameplay, in a weird way, he does kind of work.
But like, I get where you're coming from, because in past Smash Brothers, he was like an environmental boss.
Yeah, like in the Wii U version of Smash Brothers, like Sakurai was the one saying, he doesn't think Ridley belongs in there as a playable character because of his size. He said, look, I know people want Ridley, but I don't think he fits as a fighter, so here's what I'm going to do. He's a stage boss, and you can have him fight alongside you against other players, which I thought that was a cool idea. But, it just wasn't enough for the Smash community. They wanted him as an actual playable fighter.
Yeah.
So, and I will say, like, with them bringing
the only thing more ridiculous they could ask for is Craig.
Yeah. But I think with them bringing back every single character, it kind of makes up for them. Like, it already made up for them to not have too many new characters. The fact that they were bringing back every character. Like, they could have just added nobody but the Inklings and been done with it. But the fact that they did incorporate Ridley was such a huge fan service that's going to make this game well worth it. So I'm really looking forward to it. I can't wait to play Smash.
And then there will be people like me. It's like, all right, now we need Cranky Kong and Funky Kong.
But there's another thing I wanted to touch on with Smash Ultimate is with this one, it definitely looks like they're trying to cater more to the competitive scene. Because
esports has become a much bigger thing.
Well, like, here's the thing is that, Smash Brothers Melee is kind of like an entity of its own at this point. Melee is a big esports game. It's just that Sakurai, the director of Smash, he never saw Smash as a competitive game. He always saw it as kind of like a fun party game for families and friends. But and that's how he approached the Wii U game. He's like, look, the Wii U game is primarily a game that's for fun, but we'll incorporate a few competitive options.
Yeah.
Which people didn't really like about it. Now with this one, Sakurai's going all in and saying, you know what? I know you guys love competitive Smash, so we're going to make it competitive Smash. And they're actually incorporating like mechanics like jump hopping, and they're kind of like slowing down, like they're kind of like balancing out a lot of mechanics like dodging, like for each time you dodge, your dodge slows down, making you more vulnerable a little bit. So like,
and like perfect shielding and that kind of stuff.
Perfect shield. And he was on stage saying, if there's anything that the competitive Smash players feel like needs to be added to this game, tell me about it and we'll see what we can do. Which I know wave dashing is a big thing that people are asking for. So maybe we'll see wave dashing added into the game as well.
No idea what that is.
I never really understood what wave
I'm assuming that's a new fighter from Wave Rave 64.
But I'm not 100% sure what wave dashing is either, but it's a big thing in Melee competitive. It's like a special mechanic that is in that game that's not in any other Smash.
Huh. Okay.
So I know a lot of people are bugging the shit out of Sakurai to get wave dashing into this one.
Is it where you can like roll out of a taunt? So like you're waving at them and then roll?
I don't like. I've never played competitive Smash, so I don't know.
I'm really just messing with you, dude.
Oh. But I a lot of people see this as maybe an attempt to get Melee players to come over and upgrade to a new Smash. I don't think it's going to happen. I think that Melee competitive and Ultimate competitive will kind of coexist because Melee's kind of an entity of its own at this point.
It has a very strong and loyal following.
Yeah, so I really don't think there's anything that Sakurai and Nintendo can do to get people away from Melee. So, but that being said, I think that Melee and Ultimate can definitely coexist and both be competitive at the same time.
If they start holding some big like esports tournaments, I have a feeling that will incentivize a lot of them to migrate.
Which Nintendo's already doing. They had a Smash Brothers International tournament at E3 this year. I didn't really pay much attention to it, but I might actually start paying attention to it because I do love me some Smash. So.
Let me smash. So anyway, I think that should probably wrap it up for this Rogues Cast. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much everything.
Let us know what you think in the comments below, and if there's anything we didn't cover, if you'd like to discuss it, please comment below.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you guys, and you guys tell us, if there's anything that you guys are particularly excited about that we didn't talk about.
Yeah, and if there's any future topics you'd like us to cover, please also comment.
Yep, because RoguesCast is definitely something that we've been wanting to do for a while, and we're finally glad that we got the chance to do it. And if you guys want to see more of this, if you like it, let us know, and we'll definitely get more into it. We're already planning on doing probably one of these each month. So just let us know if you guys like it, and we'll see what we can do to do more of it.
Yep. And you can always find out more information on our social media and our YouTube channel. YouTube, we are our role players. Same for our Twitter, Facebook, and Twitch account. Please follow us on Twitch. We're going to be doing more regular streaming. Right now we're doing it every 2 weeks, but we're hoping to start in weekly very soon. And we're also on Instagram at rogues.roleplayers, so be sure to follow us on all those to catch funny little clips from our current series, as well as announcements and other upcoming things. So we hope to see you there, and again, we hope to hear from you. Let us know what you think, and signing off, this is TC.
And I'm Nosidda. I almost said my real name.
Hey,
I say my real name all the time.
Yeah.
It's Addison, whatever.
Yeah,
My last
and
name.
and he calls me Taylor, so it's one and the same. So anyway, signing off. We hope you guys enjoy this, and let us know. So we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Moon cheese.
Moon cheese.